Anybody else come on to okay, thank you.
Hey YouTube, it's your girl Chic from Chic Speaks. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We getting into some things tonight. We're talking about single motherhood. The question is, can a single mom be successful? According to Mr. Let Go, he was like, no, ma'am. Next question. So, of course, we got the lovely Miss Veronica Farish, affectionately known as Miss V. Welcome. And we're gonna get into it tonight because she and I, we have a different opinion than we have. Our opinion about the matter is different from his, but there's some differences in opinions that we had just as it pertains to when it's appropriate for that woman when she becomes pregnant to get married, because of course all scenarios don't warrant you going to get married. So we're going to get into it tonight. As you come in, please make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when I go live. And if we say anything that resonates to you, show your girl some love by tapping in on the Cash App at $Speak50. So listen, Miss V, he talking about, single mamas, they can't be successful. I can't relate. I'll let for some of you who are new to my channel, again, I'm Chic. And I've been married for 18 years. So all I know is married life. And I'm a mother of 3 children. So I don't know about that life as far as with the single parenting and trying to make it do what it do. I know it from just being a product of a single parent. My mom did get married, when I was I guess maybe about 8, she married my stepfather. And, by about 14, that was that was over. So I know what it's like to experience living in a household with just a mom holding it down. And I know what it's like to live in a household with, 2 parents. And of course, to me, an ideal situation is going to always be 2 parents. However, I do understand that not all situations that's feasible. Sometimes we got all kind of stuff popping off in the home, and it just don't make sense for one of the parents to be in the home. So we're gonna get into those things tonight. Miss V, like, what are your thoughts about this topic? We're gonna get into it. I got a video. I want to show the video with Mr. Let Go speaking to a young lady who says, listen, single moms can be successful. So I don't know what you're talking about, sir. And, we're going to get into it because I would like to hear other people's opinions as well. So, Ms. B, what's your thoughts on the topic tonight?
Hello, everybody. And again, thank you, Lashik, for having me back on your platform. It's such a pleasure and an honor to be here with you. I always enjoy our conversations. And like we always say, we can agree to disagree. However, I'm coming from the perspective of I once was a single mother. And I don't discount anybody, and I know what the stats say. And irregardless of the stats, you can overcome, being a single mother and become successful without being married. I have nothing against being married. Let me make that clear. However, I don't think that you have to be married to be successful.
Okay. So I will say I do agree with you on that. I feel like success, it's something different. It's going to be a different response, as you ask each person, you take 10 people and ask each one, what's success to you? I feel like you're going to get 10 different responses. So I feel like what's success to me may not necessarily be what's success for you. So for someone to come into your world, to your life, and tell you you're not successful, and for whatever reason they give you, okay, you can take that with you, because who are you? I think it's kind of subjective, because I think that just because one area of your life may not be what somebody else may find to be successful, you have other aspects of your life. Women are more than just moms. A lot of them are career women. They run businesses. They help out in the community. They help family. So just because, a woman is just a single mom, I wouldn't garner that as to say that she's a failure. For example, because I feel like if you can make that statement about a Black woman, that statement should also be said to be able to be made from a woman from another cultural group. So I'll use the Kardashians for an example.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't running around getting married and then having babies, but more people consider Kylie Jenner as being successful.
Mm-hmm.
I remember it being in the media about her being a billionaire.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that became questionable at one point of whether or not that's true or not, but what's not questionable of whether or not she's rich. So we do know that part, whether or not
Mm-hmm.
she has a brand. So would we say that she's not successful because she's a baby mom, even though she doesn't look like you or I?
Sis, let me answer that. Look, Kylie Jenner, again, like you said, everybody has their definition of success, but that's my definition of success. Kylie Jenner is doing her thing. Baby mama one, two. She has two children and doing the damn thing. She's successful. I think that a lot of people in different, and y'all gonna get mad at me when I say this. That's what everybody be saying now. I'm not trying to be like everybody, but I'm gonna listen. People, to me, from what I'm seeing so far, like to speak on other people's statuses and they're not even on their status. Like, again, you have what's the lady's name? Shonda Rhimes.
Okay.
Am I saying it
Yeah,
correctly?
Shonda Rhimes.
Shonda Rhimes. Listen, she says, I choose not to be married, but I want two children. She got a kid, so is she not successful? I mean, the girl got awards after awards, great TV show. So is she not successful? I mean, she's a single mother with kids. So again, it goes back to people definitions of being what success is to you. And I think, how can a person, and I know you're gonna pull up the video, Mr. Let Go, sit and dictate who's successful and who's not? So if you're a single parent, for him to say, you're not successful, you're a single mother, where's your husband? I mean, I just don't agree with that. I don't agree with that, especially being that I wore those shoes of being a single mother. And my definition of success is when I'm able to take care of my children, without having the assistance of the government, and being able to have them in a home, give them a life that I didn't have. I consider myself very successful. I consider myself being the mother and the father because I had to step in and do what I had to do for my children. And not to say that, and I was independent. And when, I know Mr. Let Go have a problem with women saying they're independent, but I was independent, to the point to where I didn't depend on the government. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you need the help, you need the help, but don't stay there. To take care of my children, get up. And I was a single mother that worked two jobs. I was a single mother that I did have support from my family and my friends, but I consider myself very successful.
Amen to that.
Listen, I'm working on my harshness. And when I get a little passion, I get a little harsh with it.
Listen, you did good, Miss B. You did good. So I'm with you. I agree that you can be a single parent and still raise wonderful children who are successful. My mother did it. And she actually told me once that how your children turn out speaks a lot on you as a parent.
It's a reflection of the
Yes, a
Thank
reflection
you.
of you.
Oh my God.
So she said that time and time again. So for her, like I said, because remember I said success looks different for different people.
Mm-hmm.
So for her, success for her is how well her children are doing.
Absolutely.
So if her children are doing well, she feel like she did what she was supposed to do.
Hats off to your mother. Tell your mom, and no, listen, parenting does not come with a manual, right? And a lot of times you can't make a father be a father. They choose to stay or to leave. But I think she did an awesome job. I haven't met any of your sisters, but from what I've known from the little time that we spent together, I think your mother did an amazing job.
I appreciate that. My
Yeah.
sisters, yeah, they're awesome ladies. It's three girls and a boy, and we're just great people. We love on people, we help people, we handle our business.
Mm-hmm.
We're wife material. Like we're that solid. We're just a solid. So whatever you may see or think of me, my sisters, it's the same kind of energy. So my mom is definitely proud of herself when it comes to, how we turned out, again, with her being a mother starting at the early age of 16 when she had me. So although I'm married, I've been married for 18 years, I advocate marriage. However, I advocate marriage in situations where it makes sense. It doesn't make sense if we're dealing with some type of abuse type situation going on, whether it's mental and physical abuse, any type of trauma taking place on mom or the kids. Like, no, that doesn't make sense. I don't care who you are. Run, sis, run, get your baby and run. But ultimately, what I do advocate is for young girls early on to be forward thinkers, to be intentional, meaning when they do get in a relationship with a guy and they start having sex with them, to think, before they just start having sex with them unprotected. Think about, okay, if you were to get pregnant, how the situation may change. Think about, okay, is this somebody you would want to have a child with, to be married with? If your answer is no, then I suggest you either use protection or you just get up and, put your clothes on, because I think a lot of people are thinking about these type of things after the fact. They're thinking about the type of father a man will be after they've already gotten pregnant by him. What they
That's
say,
true.
a day
Well,
late and a dollar short.
you know what? Exactly. But you know what? Let's just be real. A lot of times young kids, they don't think about that. As they say in class, they just want to hook up. They hook up now and think about the consequences later.
Listen,
So,
that hookup, we're gonna have to get into that, because that one right there, this hookup culture. But we're gonna get into this video, but I want to come back after that and we're gonna talk about that, because we got people out here who desire to be married, but you need other people who also desire to be married. It takes two. So
absolutely.
women can't be running around talking about I want to get married, but though you got men talking about no, I just want to hook up, or vice versa. It takes two. But as Mr. Lego has also said, all you need is your one person. So it's still everybody, you still got to be intentional. It still takes two, nevertheless, it still takes two. So guys, as you guys come in, please like, share, subscribe, share the video, share the live, because we're going to get into it tonight.
Yes.
It's a heavy topic. Miss V, we definitely had a lot to say about it offline. And I'm like, we need to bring it to the people to see what types of opinions that other people may have pertaining to this topic, because more women let's just see, for the most part, when I talk about relationships, anything, I'm talking to my people, I'm talking to our community, and more women than not, and within the Black community, they're not married. They are having children out of wedlock. They are in raising children alone for, a multitude of reasons. So the conversations that I have over here with guests such as Veronica, it's about getting down to the root of why this is happening in such large numbers, and how can we fix that, because we're about solutions over here. So what you're not going to see over here is us just going in bashing anybody, whether it's woman, man, children. Like, we don't do that over here. That's just not what we're about. We're about bringing matters, situations, issues, whatever you want to call it, to the forefront and discussing it. We do like when people participate to chime in, give your comments. And I do see your comments. I'm going to get into your comments. I want to first get into this video with Mr. Lego talking to a young lady. And then I'm gonna come back and, we're going to really get into the discussion.
Hey,
So
Lashik, you might want to tell them brace themselves.
y'all get ready. If y'all ain't familiar with Mr. Lego, well, y'all about to be familiar with him tonight. So let's get into it. Fair use. Let me see, make sure.
To meet my husband, I was already successful and up before I had him.
What are you
You don't
talking
need a
about?
husband to be successful. Not at all.
What does successful look like, boys?
Happy in your own skin. Happy with the person that you are, in love with the person that you are, that you don't have to look for a man to love you, because you already love yourself. And that's what I mean by a successful female. Because success
Is
can
this
look every
successful
other way.
female going to have children?
Yes, she may have children. She may
Okay,
have children.
so it's part of being successful with kids?
Yes, you can be successful with kids. Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so how can you be in this, what you just painted out to be successful, without being married, and you have a child in this scenario? So without
The child has
a
nothing to
husband,
do with that scenario.
children has everything to do with that scenario. So when you said a woman can be successful and not get married, when you add a child to that, she is no longer successful. She is now a single mother. And being a single mother is not success. Single motherhood is failure. A child, a family comprises of a man and a woman, not a woman. If you are a single mother, there is a certain amount of failure. And I'm sorry to say this, but we got to stop this shit. We have to look at life the way it actually is instead of what y'all asses want it to be. For you to sit here and say you could be successful, cool, yes. But when I started asking you different parts of the success and you started adding children, well, if there's no man in the household, if there's no man leading, helping you raise that child, sorry, that is not success. So if you would have said, oh, one can make millions of dollars, not that's success. But there is no success when there's only a mother and not a father in the household, because then you're thinking selfishly. You may feel like you're successful, but does your child think you're successful? Does your child think that they're successful? No, because they didn't have no daddy. And even if the daddy was around, they didn't have a daddy raise them in the same household. There is no success without the intact family. Now, I've admitted in my own life that I have a failed marriage and I spent time with my kids, but I was no longer in the household. The number one thing we have to do is stop being children and be real with ourselves and say, hey, I do have a certain level of failures in my life. Therefore, I cannot do them again. A lot of these ladies, they're not cognizant of their failures because they're used to women saying, oh, don't worry about that. Oh, it's his fault. It's her fault. It's this person's fault. It's that person's fault. And there's no level of accountability, because if you don't see where you failed at, you're destined to fail again in this.
All right.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack.
It is. And it was only like 3 minutes. Like it was like a 3 minute, but it was a lot, it was a lot said. So before I, get into your comment, let me check some of these comments with some of the people who are watching us to see their thoughts, because it was a lot, and, there were some things he said that I did agree with and some that I didn't. So we'll get into it. So Brenton Hall said, parental success is raising children to be respectful and responsible adults.
I agree.
I agree too.
Thank you, Brenton.
Brenton also says, if we are going in, we have to start at the base of the problem in our Black community. The rising of single Black mothers is from a systematic racism from the late 60s.
Can I touch on that?
Yes, go ahead.
Brenton, you are absolutely right. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't have my right information in front of me, but please correct me, Lashik or Brenton. I think the Black Panthers started helping within the community, helping the single mothers in the community. At some point in time, the government saw this and then they came in, right? And they wanted to portray it as if they were helping us, but it really was a setup. We get you in this system, and we want to keep you in the system to keep you at a certain status. If you try to get out of this system, we're going to make it hard for you. So a lot of people got caught up in that. Like if they have children and then they was like, get a job. If they get a job making a certain amount of money, they would cut their welfare. So parents was looking at it like, I'm better off staying in this than getting a job because I can't make enough to support my family. Not making excuses, but that was the mentality. That was the government set up. And you're absolutely right. It was a system set up by the government to keep people at a certain level to where they're not going to get out of this if they don't have that mindset. Now, what if we would have been educated? What if we would have been educated enough? Because you have some people that was in the system in the 60s. My parents was, but they fought their way out of it. Not that I come from very, very humble beginnings, but they didn't stay in the system. But some people become complacent and stay in the system because they figure, you know what, it's better for me to stay here than to just get out and do better and struggle. So yes, it started in the 60s.
I agree. One fact that I did learn, and I think I learned it from someone I was following. I don't know if it was Umar Johnson or someone, but they talked about how, maybe it was Riza talked about it, Riza Islam, how the Black Panther is the ones who came in and started the, I think it was with the reduce or the free lunch or something like that. And I found that interesting because I never knew that. So that's how I came to know how at one point we were within our own community taking care of our own. And then the outside community, the white community, they came in and took over. And I can only presume that it was to gain that control, because it's like, wait a minute, they over here doing some stuff, and they look like they own something. So let's just step in and act like, oh, well, we maybe can take it to a greater level, when in actuality it was more so about taking control. Because I've heard people talk about how, how when we were segregated, how we were doing so much better as far as within our communities and in our students, like everything. And then once we became integrated, then it just seemed like things went downhill for us. So what's your thoughts about that whole idea? Do you feel like we were better off when we were segregated, or had we stayed segregated in comparison to, what we see today, being integrated and having to, I guess, try to compete and share resources with other groups of people, whereas within our own community, we just had our own. So we didn't have to worry about somebody saying, okay, Ms. V, here's this for you and yours. And they can decide of whether or not they wanted your family to eat, or you or your man to have a job. What's your thoughts on that?
I think that when the Jim Crow came into effect, it affected a lot of people. And a lot of people to this day still have that Jim Crow mentality. Like, you treat the lighter skinned person better than the dark skinned person. The whole scenario about the Jim Crow. And I think we have that within our community. Within our community, we are a strong Black culture if we stick together. But a lot of times we don't stick together and come together. We like to point and say, oh my gosh, she's a single mother. Oh my God, he ain't this and he ain't that. Instead of, like we said earlier, come up with a solution, and to help with the problem within the community. But a lot of times we're prejudiced against our own selves, and we beat our own self down. But if we came together, listen, the white people are really scared of a Black culture that comes together and stick together, because we're very powerful. But yeah, that's what I think about that. I think even in the integration, that if we would have still stuck together, we still could have overcame all of that too. But you get some people that get scared, or want to go along with the white because the white is right, so they say. But yeah, and I don't want to go too much without sounding ignorant. I want to have all my facts in front of me. But yeah, to answer your question, I think that if we would have stuck together as a community, if we would have been stronger mentally, we could have overcame all of that. You see what happened when we did the marches and all that stuff, how we came out, even though racism still exists, but yeah.
Right. I mean, I agree with that. I think that we live in a society that white is right. So almost like across different cultural groups, the lighter you are, the better. Even when it comes to the Asian community, Hispanic community, it's like across the board, it's about the lighter complexion. You deal, other countries deal heavily with the skin bleaching. I think, more so than like the Americans. But it's a thing to where white is right. And I think that even going back to those times, as we go all the way back to the 60s and moving forward, and the integration, and then it becoming legal for, interracial marriages, it seemed like, some folks got real happy when that law for interracial marriages, came about, and they jumped ship and start, so therefore, let's just say the men from our community, building lives with women outside of the community, those resources that could have been, or that was within our community, kind of left the community. And we still even kind of see that today, where I want to say that, you know, when you do typically see that interracial relationships, it's a Black man typically who's more of a higher earner. And I did a little test one year. It's like about 5 years ago. And I was back when I watched cable TV. I haven't watched cable TV in years. And I was watching TV, and, you know, at that point, it was maybe about 4 different Black men that I took note that was like regularly on TV that was considered to be successful. And I stopped and just did a Google search on all of their spouses. And in all scenarios, I think out of the 4, maybe 3 of them were married, they were married to white women. So again, you know, what we see is that, you know, that why we also see it like heavily with actors and athletes. It's like the tax bracket, you know, a lot of times once our men, you know, their tax bracket increase, then they kind of go into a different direction with the type of women that they choose to want to date, or let me just say marry. Because have you ever noticed that a lot of famous people, like their oldest child was all Black?
Well,
Like the starter wife was the Black woman.
Yeah, but I'm going to get back to what we were the original question, as far as what Mr. Let Go said, as far as young Black women not being successful if they are single mothers. Now, within our community, I think Brenton Hall has said something about what do we think about marriages. You can speak on that. You've been married for what, 18 plus?
18 years.
18 plus. I don't have anything against traditional marriage. I don't have anything against people that don't want to get married, because marriage isn't for everybody. But what I will say is that when you are a single mother, for somebody to say that you cannot be successful because you're a single mother, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with the thing to saying that you are a failure, because you cannot make a man be a father to a child that does not want to be there. Well, let's go back a few steps further. Well, you said it earlier, you know, you should think about who you sleep with, which is true. I agree with that. But a lot of times, you know, kids, not making excuses, but we all have been kids. When you're kids, you're out here, you know, meeting people like today, in this day and time, the kids talk about the hookup. You know, they're not thinking about the consequences, this, and the other. But when they have a hookup, let's just say the girl gets pregnant. What he's saying is it's the woman's fault. But what I'm saying is both of them need to be held accountable. And because she ends up pregnant, whether she decides to have the baby or not, she still can become successful. She still can go to school. And even if she don't go to school, and get a college education, she can be an entrepreneur. There are a lot of single mothers out here that has become successful being single parents.
I feel like with society, and I guess, I can only make sense of it, is because the baby, the woman carries the baby more often than not is in the home with the woman, the mom. It seemed like when it comes to pregnancy, more of the responsibility falls on the mom, the woman, and what she did to prevent it from happening. And it's not really an equal amount of conversations to the boys, the men, the males, on what they did to prevent it or to keep it from happening.
So can I say this?
Sure.
So here's the thing. Yes, a woman do control what goes in her body and what does not go into her body. So what are the statistics? I don't have it in front of me, of a woman still being on birth control pills, right? And still getting pregnant. So is that man's responsibility to say, let me take extra precaution? Again, I'm not saying, because I'm looking at the comments over here, I'm not saying that it's all the woman's fault. I'm saying the men should be held accountable too. They don't get no pass on this, not from me. I feel like they should be held accountable. Let me just slow my roll a little bit. I feel like they should be held accountable. Not only be held accountable, but again, why do people feel like it's more the woman's fault when a man has left his seed there? That's his child. How you going to walk away from your child and you live your best life and you don't know if this woman you slept with that has had your baby is going to give your baby a good life? You're going to walk away from your child. So where is the male's responsibility behind this? That's what I'm saying. It's both people's responsibility.
And
So
I'm
sorry.
I agree with that, because I'm a product of that, where the man, my father, walked away and it was just my mom holding it down until, I had a stepfather, for, as I said, for maybe half of my childhood, if that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I do feel like my mom has done a great job with raising us children. And I feel like I am successful largely because of, the upbringing that I did have, even though there were things about the upbringing that I said, hey, I'm going to do things different. Because like anything, you take what you want out of it. Like, that's just any situation. And you always want your children to soar beyond what you did. So I want that. And I feel like, I've done pretty well in life thus far, but I want my children to do even better. And I always say, like, for success for me, like, I want to see how my children turn out. I do a lot. My husband and I do a lot to pour in to our children, because Ms. V, I've said it. I've said it. If my kids turn out to be worth nothing, like, I would feel, especially my daughter, I would really feel like I failed. Like, my success, I have a mindset that I'm basing it largely on how my children turn out, because I feel like my most important job is rearing my children. And I think it's not enough people who take parenting seriously. I always say that some people think parenting, how many times have we heard within our community, I put food on the table and a roof over your head and it's a hard period. Like, there's more to parenting than just clothing and feeding your children. You got to actually stop and have conversations with them. You got to check in to see how they're doing, what their mental and emotional state is. You can't leave it at high level of, okay, they got a coat for the winter, they got school supplies, they got a hot meal, and that's it. And so many parents do that because they're so busy just into their own world dealing with adult stuff. They're adulting. And it's like, you gotta do both, because one isn't more important than the other. But I will say that the well-being of my children comes before even me, as long as I'm healthy, because I got to be healthy and strong to make sure they're good. But at the end of the day, my purpose is to make sure that they have the best life possible and turn out to be good men for wives. Because the way I look at it, I'm raising two sons who will one day be husbands to two Black women. And so again, with these men that we see that aren't showing up, somebody raised them. What was being instilled in them for them to hit it and quit it and carry on in the manner in which they did? They were even raised by a single mom. Like, still, sir, why coming out of that situation, there wasn't nothing that resonated with you to say, hey, I'm gonna be there for mine. I have a cousin who's been a whole single father. All his sons, he went through the courts, fought everything to get custody of his son, because it was important for him to be in his son's life and be a father to him. Because guess what? He was a product of a teen parent. My aunt had him when she was maybe like 15. So my mom was 16 with me. My aunt was 15 with him. So they were raising their children together. But his mindset was like, my son is going to have a father and he's going to be good. So he ended up, he beat the baby mama out. The courts found the child to be more fit with him. And now his son is grown, graduated high school, living a productive life. So I think it just comes down to how we're rearing, because a man that can run off and just not take care of his seed, we cannot overlook what went down within his household. What kind of messaging did he get? And even if he was in the house with a single mama, what was mama speaking to him about? Because I know men who were raised by single mothers and they're not like that. They either don't have kids or it's important for them to be in their children's father. So I don't know if anybody in the chat can speak on that, to where if they grew up, men in particular, without a father and they became a father one day, how did their parenting measure up to the parenting that they did or did not get from their father? And Mr. Letgo talks about how his daddy wasn't shit, in his words, and his mom was, a struggling single mom that he didn't think made the best decisions. So I feel like these type of things shapes us as adults and how we move in these streets, as I like to say.
I think that's why he feel like a lot of single mothers are failures, because he look at his mother as a failure. These people in his comments are going off.
We're gonna get into it. I know I left off. We left off at Brenton. I know that. I mean, it's a lot, y'all. We're gonna try to get to these comments. Let me see. We got Melba in the house. Thank you for showing up for us, Melba Saunders. OMG, Mr. Lego is very negative when he speaks about women. Listen, I tell him, I said, people love to hate you. Like, it's one of those love. It's either you love them or you hate them. I don't think anybody got a middle ground when it comes to him. I'm just going to say it.
I feel like it's his delivery. I think it's his delivery. And I think that for him to be closed-minded, to say that, women are children, women are listen, you're not successful if you're a single mother. There's no way you can be successful, and you need to be married. And I don't agree with that at all.
It's like an all or nothing type mindset, I like to say, or a tunnel vision. It's like a black and white. Like, everything isn't black or white. You got gray, you got, off white. Like, I don't look at things as black and white. I think that there's levels to everything.
Oh, absolutely. For example, if you're talking about single mothers and, being married, listen, it's so much more in between there that need to be said and done before that happens. And he's just straight like that. Like, single mothers are dumb. Single mothers are stupid. They cannot. No, he don't talk like that. He was like, single mothers are, what did he say? They're not successful. Can't be successful. You're failures.
Remember, he said he's the advanced class. He said, like, if you want the, if you to spit or the remedial, you need to, pay for his course. Sorry. Y'all know what I mean? He's like, y'all got to listen. I'm on here telling y'all, get married. If you want to talk about all the reasons why not to and what you need to work through, you need to sign up for his class. So, period. Get married. His memo is get married. Why, Mr. Lego? Because I said so.
Yeah.
Brenton Hall said, do you ladies agree with the traditional marriage roles and rules? We know Mr. Lego got his list, and he controls everything in the house, down to what you eat and how much you weigh. So if y'all familiar with him, y'all know we ain't lying over here, So go ahead.
Girl, do you understand, Brenton? Okay, let me answer his question first. Do I agree with the traditional marriage roles and rules? No. My husband and I, we don't have rules. We don't have roles. That doesn't work in our household. If you see something that needs to be done, do it. We respect each other. And I was telling Lashik, this is too many rules, too many roles. He don't have to come in and say, I'm the head of this house. I work today. Where's my dinner? No. If he's work, I shared this with Lashik the other day. My husband has worked 16 hours a day and has came home and cooked. And all I've been doing was doing my schoolwork. There's trash that need to be taken down to the curb. I take the trash to the curb. Hell, I be in the yard doing yard work, picking up sticks or whatever. I don't wait for him to do that. He don't wait for me to do anything. If the laundry needs to be done, I'll do the laundry. Or if he feel like he want to do it, he'll do it. If dishes need to be washed, he don't be like, so why the dishes in the sink? You mean to tell me you ain't gonna wash it? We don't do that. That, for us, it don't work for us. Now, Mr. Let Go, on the other hand, listen, go to one of his and he'll be like, hey, yo, Brenton, yes, I'm for the roles and rules because men are kings. We lead. And in my house, I'm going to tell them what to eat. I kid you not. I'm going to tell them how much to put on their plate because we lead. I don't agree with that. I don't think, that I would have to be on the panel with him to tell him how I feel. Hell, I'm going to say it now because what I say once, I can say it twice. He can never be with a woman like me. Lashee?
So much like your relationship, no, in my marriage, we don't have gender roles. Like Miss V, you can easily look up and see, my husband cleaning, dusting, vacuuming, mopping, you probably actually going to see more of that from him. And then, I'm doing things as far as just, managing the things that's housing, making sure that we have all of the things, the supplies, the food, the kids' clothes are clean. The kids are, on times to their activities. So the things that we do is more so around who's available to do it at that time.
Mm-hmm. Agree.
And
That's
that's
how we are.
been the way it's been just about, the entire time. Most of our marriage has been with the children. Our oldest son is 17. We've been married 18 years. So we've been parents pretty much in our entire marriage. So it's been about teamwork because we're outnumbered. We have 3 children. So we have to be a team to work together to get things done. Like that's just been our mindset from the beginning because, we're one, that's where we're one, the way my husband and I, we look at one another, we're one. So our mindset is even that. But, Mr. Lego, like he talks about the men being leaders. I do agree men are leaders, but I feel like it's most important for them to lead by the example.
Thank you.
Versus from a dictatorship standpoint with using words, because words are that. Lead by example. Let me look up and see you moving and doing things a certain way and say, you know what? Wow, I see you. Let me maybe try that. My husband and I do that all the time. I might be, working out more and he may be inspired to work out more. He might say, oh, I'm going to try to eat better. Maybe not drink, sodas this week. There's little things I'll be like, okay, well, I'm not going to pick that up. I'm going to do it too. So we kind of feed off of one another. It's the energy. So it's no dictatorship. And as a result, we're both living our best lives, looking good. And it has nothing to do with me looking and moving a certain way because I have a husband who demands for me to look a certain way. For example, Aaron wants his woman to stay fit, small, basically like the size I am. I'm doing all that without someone telling me or dictating me what to do. I'm just doing that on my own because it's a mindset. And then, my husband and, his leadership and how I see him move and the things that, the way he tries to eat or how he shops, I'll pick up some of those things. Some I don't, some I do. But I'm my own person. At the end of the day, we don't have issues. I don't have a weight problem, but I'm doing what I want to do or what's best for me. So that works for us. And I have yet to see a relationship that actually has been successful when there's dictatorship. Because if the relationship is still going on, somebody is not happy. Absolutely. So is it about being married and not being happy? Like, is it all about, that's why I say it's levels to it, because it's more than just being married. Are you happy, content? Like as I say, you go through different emotions within your marriage. What I will say, at no point should you feel sick from your marriage, like to where you physically don't feel well. That where there's that stress on the body, that's a problem. And if you're starting to feel that way, you need to seek help, whether that be counseling. But that is a sign that something has to give. As they say, your body, Ms. V, you can speak on that. Your body gonna tell you all day long when something ain't right. That's what you talk about, mind, body, and soul. Your body will let you know by the stress in your shoulders, your neck, headaches. I've told you about how I've had headaches before from stress, not knowing, going to doctors like, hey, what's this? And they were like, and then I just have a change of circumstances in my life. And then suddenly the headaches is gone. That was my body responding to stress. So it's not about being married, because my thing is, as I say, or I tell my husband, if we're going to do this thing called life together, we might as well be happy doing it. What's the point of being miserable doing it? That's how we're able to do it. And we just celebrated on October 1st, our 18-year wedding anniversary. We just do it. As I was telling someone, my family, when I saw them at a party last weekend, they were, boasting about, hey, it's been 18 years, they all love my husband. And I tell them, I don't even realize how long it's been, because it's just been my life. And it hasn't been a stressful type situation for me. It's just us. It's just, time. Because as I say, time waits for no one. So you decide on how you want to spend your time. You have anything to add? Well, before I ask you about the next point, let me go ahead and finish getting through some of these comments, because people definitely have a lot to say about this topic. Raquel Rose. Hey, Raquel, welcome. She said, uh-oh. Raquel know about Mr. Lego. She know. Judith Cousin says, yeah, I'm successful Black single woman. I listen. I always say when you know who you are, can't nobody else come and tell you otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
So just always know who you are, because regardless as people come and go in your life, you're going to still move as you should, as you were, because your movement or how you progress, and it has nothing to do with someone else. As I said, they're just along for the ride. So I think it's important with women that before they enter these relationships, that they're sure of themselves. So someone can't come along and try to just tell them the okie doke, and then they just go along with it.
Right.
So why is she so aggressive? So the woman in the video, I think here's the thing, me and Ms. V, we talk about this, delivery, aggressiveness, passion. We see that a lot within our community with the Black woman. And as I tell her, I've heard Black men talk about that they're turned off by the Black woman when she becomes aggressive. And some will even use that as a reason as to why they may date outside of the Black community. But as I like to say, and Ms. V have heard me say it multiple times, is that delivery does matter, because when we come off as aggressive and we're yelling, like, people will shut down. So what your message isn't being heard. So at the end of the day, we want our message to be heard. We want to be heard, right? But what we need to understand is that just because your octave goes up doesn't mean that you're being heard. It's about the delivery, because you can still talk as loud as ever, just like if you want to yell at your kids, like you can talk as loud as ever. And as they say, when they say it goes in one ear and out the other, that's a true statement, because people will tune you out because they're turned off by your delivery. So so what's your thoughts on because we've talked about this multiple times, Ms. V. What's your thoughts?
Raquel, hi Raquel, welcome. I think she was aggressive because it triggered her, because she's a single mother, and how dare he say that she wasn't successful, and I get it. And although you're right, it's the delivery on how you say things, but then it's how she took it. And again, when you know who you are, you don't have to respond that way. But when somebody, like I for single women, like I have empathy for single mothers. I have empathy because I once was that. And for me to hear him say that, women are children, to hear him say that single mothers can't be successful, I'm very passionate about that, and it shows in my voice. And I now know that, hey, you know what? It's the delivery and everything, but that's why she was upset the way she was, and she was angry because of how he said what he did to her. That I think they was on a panel before this, and and she was there to more or less say, "Listen, I'm a single Black mother and very successful. How dare you?"
I hear that. Listen, like, you can't go around telling people who they are. That's one thing I do know, because it typically don't ever end well. Let's see. Brenton Hall said he is going about his argument in the best way logically.
How so, Brenton? Well, I don't know. I feel like, again, that he says things in a manner to trigger people, because there's no way a coach would say women are children and women are single mothers are not successful in the manner that he does. I feel like that maybe that's just who he is. Maybe that's the way, again, like you said, maybe that's just who he is. But that's all I can say about that. Maybe that's just who he is and how he does things. I, for one, couldn't do it. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Well, he does, reiterate when he talk about women being children. He said he based it on the actions of women. So if he see a woman not behaving like a child, he doesn't call her a child. But if he see her demonstrating childlike behavior, he calls her a child. But as you and I have both said, we're all guilty of showing childlike behavior at some point in our life, and including him. He's not exempt. We know him in a different way than many other people may not know him. We're all a part of like a coaching group. So he's pretty much, when it comes to YouTube content, things like that, he's our leader in that aspect. However, please understand, we do regularly communicate with him about his delivery, and he is actually working on that and getting better.
And I'm
So,
the main one. I'm the main one to be going in.
so
Like you
he
bring it to me,
is.
I'm gonna give it to you just like you bring it.
So he is working on that, as far as with the delivery. But he said what he said. So at the same time, as Brenton said, this is his argument and this is what he's standing on, and that's fine. But as long as he's just ready for the opposing view, which he always is. So we are definitely, like, his coaching group is great, because it's definitely an environment where we feel that we can be ourselves and we can speak our mind. And even if we do have opposing views, it's just that's all it is. But one thing that we do agree, he's definitely an awesome content creator. He definitely know how to get the people talking, to get people's attention. We call it, he got with the shock value. So he's definitely winning in that area. And as I spoke on, you take what applies to you and you leave the rest. And I think when we move through life thinking like that, it'll have us have our emotions intact better. Because a lot of times, as Ms. V said, the young lady was probably yelling because she was triggered because it applied to her. I'm assuming with the way, the passion she had, that she was a single mom. So she was triggered by that. But again, we have to check our emotions, because when we're in a conversation, we don't want to lose the person. Because as we saw in that video, and I'll play it again, he never matched her energy. He never matched her energy. He still stayed calm, same tone as she, changed. And then as he spoke and he still stayed calm, you notice there was a point where she kind of became quiet and started listening because he didn't match her energy. And that's the thing, a lot of times we'll try to match the energy of the person that we're speaking to, and that don't go well, because you can easily get into a shouting match and no one's hearing one another. But if there's only one person shouting and the other one's calm, guess what? More than likely that person shouting is going to eventually bring it down a notch, because they're going to realize that they look crazy, and it's almost like they're talking to themselves or arguing to themselves at that point. So we just have to be cognizant of how we're the energy that we're giving, how we're being perceived, because who wants someone to have a negative perception of us? Like, nobody really wants that. So we have to really, check that and just make sure we do that self-check, that check in to see, like, okay, am I being perceived in the manner in which I want to be perceived? Because at the end of the day, we control that. We control how people perceive us by the energy that we give. So at the end of the day, we have more control than what many of us really believe we do. And because we have that control, we have the ability to not be controlled. How about that? Brenton Hall said, we were married secretly through slavery, through Reconstruction, through the Great Migration, through Jim Crow, until the Civil Rights Movement. Ms. V, you have anything to add on that comment?
No, Brenton, this sounds like he's very knowledgeable of that. Again, I don't want to come off ignorant because I don't have all my facts, but I do know some of this, and you are absolutely right. You are absolutely right. So the question remains, how do we come from under that? Even though it's not basically said like we are still under the Jim Crow or whatever, but we are. We have racism within our own community. And when I say that, I say, like, you have, again, instead of people trying to help one another, they look down on the other person. Again, for me, for him to say, and I know what the statistics says, for him to say, Black women act like children. We all have childlike behaviors, but maybe that's his niche, however you say it, but you're going to reach a certain few, and maybe he's not willing to reach or touch all people, all the young single mothers, but again, looking down on Black women, I just don't agree with it.
So as for me, I've been married for 18 years, so I'm definitely a strong advocate of marriage. So I'm always advocating to place yourself in the best situation with someone. If you're going to give them your time, let it be someone who you can see yourself marrying. So let's just say if you do wind up pregnant, then the conversation comes up about marriage, you're not turned off. So many times I'll hear a woman talk about, oh, okay, I'm pregnant. And then someone will follow up with, oh, okay, are you guys getting married? And then she'll just kind of like turn her nose up, like, no, of course not. Like, he's not good enough for all of that. So it has me to think like, wow, this man was good enough to lay down with, unprotected, to create a whole life with. But the thought of marrying him is just, you just can't even imagine. So my thought is, how do you comfortably just sleep with someone unprotected, with someone who you don't even like enough to even want to marry? Because to me, a child lasts longer than a marriage. So you're willing to create a whole life that's going to connect you two together really forever, versus a marriage. And as we see, people go in and out of those on a regular.
Well, I think just like men, you'll be like, I know he did not sleep with, they don't think twice about it. So maybe some women have the same sentiment. I listen, I'm not trying to I'm just going to do what I do. You know what I mean? Should they have protected sex? Of course they should. Both should. Especially if it ain't that type of party. We just gonna do what we do and go. But people are irresponsible. And I'm not making excuses. That's just the reality of it. I think somewhere in the comments, somebody was saying something about premarital sex. Of course, you could talk about premarital sex all day, but I'm not trying to be rude. Did you wait till you got married before you had sex? I mean, it was preached to me all day when I was a teenager, but I was a teenager and I was curious and I did, everybody, Lashik, did you wait till you got married to have sex?
I did not.
And when you're having sex, it comes with so much responsibility. So much responsibility. The people have, young kids, they don't have, but I have a friend that waited until she was married. Heck goes off to her, But
right.
Again, what is the reality of kids just literally waiting?
It's not.
The thing is educate them. Listen, I'll never say what my kids would do when they weren't around me. I know what I was teaching them. But when they got away from me and got with their friends, I was a teenager once. I couldn't, and I would have never said, I know they're not going to do this, then, and the third, because I taught them better. You could teach them all day, but kids are going to be kids. Exactly. So what you do, okay, I don't want you to have sex, but if you do, these are the precautions that you take.
I second that. My mom always told me, never say what your children won't do, because they'll make a fool out of you every time. So I always say, what I've taught my children, what I've instilled in them, what they should know better. Now, what they're doing, that's something completely different. So I definitely agree that you shouldn't say what they're not going to do. Britton Hall says during the 70s, the forces that started the process of making the Black man economically irrelevant to the Black woman. So yeah, I mean, this is a generational, like, this isn't a something that just happened overnight. So as they say, just because it's not, the fix isn't going to take place overnight. I think it does start with having conversations, these types of conversations.
Absolutely.
And sometimes, I will say I'm guilty of where I'll have conversations with people like Ms. V or other people, that I get in conversations with about just the state of our community. And I don't always feel the most optimistic, because I feel like, so our youth, our children, they're heavily influenced by social media. And what they say, there's strength in numbers. Mm-hmm. And the social media, that's bigger than, say, what's taking your parents. That's just two people. So it's almost like you're competing with Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, as parents, in hopes that the message that mom and dad, is giving the child, that is louder, and the child holds on to that more so than whatever messaging that they're getting from the internet. Because talk about it, on the internet, these celebrities got these kids thinking that they can just bust it wide open, twerk it out, and still, get them a husband at, by the time, whenever they good and ready. And it don't matter what they did last week, that's irrelevant because that was the past. Like, it's a false note. To me, they're not living in the reality of how everything has a consequence. So you can run out here and do what you want to do and say you living your best life, but at some point you're going to have to speak to that, because at some point somebody's going to hold you accountable for your behavior.
And not only that, Lashik, Brenton, and I hear you, and I do get it, because they set it up to where the mothers, the single mothers, would do better with the father out of the household, right? Um, but let's come to the now. You know, let's all be held accountable. If you have a child, or you with someone, listen, if you can sustain from having sex before your marriage, then by all means do it.
Mm-hmm.
But if not, let's be responsible enough to say, listen, you know what, things happen. If the lady was to get pregnant or whatever, hold your accountability. If that's your child, take care of it. I'm not saying I'm not saying because she's pregnant to get married. I'll never say that, because the simple fact, it's much deeper than that. Because
woman doesn't need.
What was that?
That was, I had rewinded that video back. Go ahead, finish with your point.
I would never say because you get pregnant or got somebody pregnant to get married, and then you're not going to be successful, or she's not. I wouldn't say that. I would say, get married when you're ready to get married. Listen, you're doing it backwards if you have a child before you marry. But if it happens, know that there's still light at the end of the tunnel, and you still can be successful, and you still can make it in this thing we call life.
I agree. Queen Butterfly, welcome. Thank you for joining. She says Black women with white men, marriages last longer than Black men with white women. I've heard that, Queen. And it's funny though, because that is the stat. However, Black men marry white women in far greater numbers than the Black woman will, marry the white man. So it goes to show that we're still more race loyal than the Black man. But the numbers do show that, our marriages, when we do a Black woman marry a white man, mm-hmm. it lasts long. I think they said out of any of the cultural groups that come together, mm-hmm. the Black woman and the white man's union lasts longer.
And I would say this, I don't know the statistics, but I do know a white man, honey, they quick to get married. If you're what they want, they're not going to be like, well, let me see if I still got it. Let me wait. No, ma'am. No, sir. They're not like a Black man. They're going to marry you.
Yeah. And I agree to that. They don't really typically, it's so funny if you see a white man stringing a woman along, you equate it to, oh, he acting like a Black man, because that's not typically what they do.
It's not their nature.
It's really no other cultural group's nature, really, when you think about the Hispanic man, the Asian man. That's just not what they do. But within
3 months, 2 weeks.
They putting a ring on it, but it seemed like within our culture, it's not a requirement. I think a lot of it I put on it, women not making it a requirement when they're with these men, because I feel like, as I talk about, we have more control than what we think. And I feel like just me being married, I knew at an early age, it was a requirement of mine. So if we understand, if we say, hey, this is what I want, as you're dating and encountering people, you're letting it be known. And if this person is not on that wave of wanting to be married, as far as being marriage minded, you may not necessarily know if you're going to marry that person, but it's about being marriage minded, because a lot of times people are hooking up with someone who's not marriage minded. Mm-hmm. The woman may want to get married. That man might not be marriage minded, or it might be vice versa. So we got to do more communicating, I feel like, in these relationships, because clearly we doing a lot of other stuff, mm-hmm. but we're not doing enough communicating, because I feel like when we communicate, we can get answers to a lot of these things, get answers to a lot of things that can prevent problems from down the line, such as, trying to figure out what we're going to do because I'm pregnant, I got a baby. Are we keeping it? We putting it up for adoption? Are we doing something else? Are we having it? Like all of this, I feel like when you're dating somebody or when you're in a relationship with somebody, you should have already had these types of conversations before you peeing on a test learning, as far as, whether or not this person is interested in having a child. And it's like a lot of people are just having these conversations, after the fact. Mm-hmm. And it's a whole problem. But I want to play this video again with Mr. Let Go, talking to this young lady about why he feels single mothers cannot be successful. Fair use.
husband to be successful because I didn't need my husband. I was already successful and up before I had him.
What are you talking
You
about?
don't need a husband to be successful. Not at all.
What does successful look like?
Happy in your own skin. Happy with the person that you are in love with the person that you are, that you don't have to look for a man to love you because you already love yourself. And that's what I mean by successful female. Because successful
Is a successful female going to have children?
Yeah, she may have children. She may have children.
So it's part of being successful with kids?
Yes, you can be successful with kids. Absolutely.
So how can you be in this what you just painted out to be successful without being married? You have a child in this scenario. So without a husband, children has everything to do with that scenario. So when you said a woman can be successful and not get married, when you add a child to that, she is no longer successful. She is now a single mother. And then a single mother is not success. Single motherhood is failure. A child, a family comprises of a man and a woman, not a woman. If you are a single mother, there is a certain amount of failure. And I'm sorry to say this, but we got to stop this shit. We have to look at life the way it actually is instead of what y'all asses want it to be. For you to sit here and say you can be successful, cool, yes. But when I started asking you different parts of the success, and you started adding children, well, if there's no man in the household, if there's no man leading, helping you raise that child, sorry, that is not success. So if you would have said, oh, a woman can make millions of dollars, not that success. But there's no success when there's only a mother and not a father in the household, because then you're thinking selfishly. You may feel like you're successful, but does your child think you're successful? Does your child think that they're successful? No, because they didn't have no daddy. And even if the daddy was around, they didn't have a daddy raise them in the same household. There is no success without the intact family. Now, I've admitted in my own life that I have a failed marriage and I spent time with my kids, but I was no longer in the household. The number one thing we have to do is stop being children and be real with ourselves and say, hey, I do have a certain level of failures in my life. Therefore, I cannot do them again. A lot of these ladies, they're not cognizant of their failures because they're used to women saying, oh, don't worry about that. Oh, it's his fault. It's her fault. It's this person's fault. It's that person's fault. And there's no level of accountability, because if you don't see where you failed at, you're destined to fail again in this.
Listen, I mean, so let's talk about the parts to where I do agree agree that a lot of people struggle with accountability. And that's how we often see a lot of repeat offenders when it comes to things such as, repeat baby mama, baby daddy. It's just people not learning from their experiences. Because I always say, you do it once, twice, give you a benefit of the doubt. But when we hit in 3, 4, 5, okay, come on now. Really, come on, there's something there that we got to stop and evaluate how we're moving. And we got to explore that, because he's speaking to that woman in particular about women and accountability and learning where you maybe went wrong so you won't repeat it. I get that. The part where I fare different on is that I don't feel like the conversation was just heavily on just the woman, like failure, but it did take two. And I also don't feel like that just because she has a child and she out of wedlock, she's not with the father, that it just makes her just a failure, because we don't know what that woman is doing with her life. She can be doing far more than that married person over there. As you and I talk about, all marriages aren't good marriages. You got a lot of marriages where there's a lot of dysfunction, hence why people file for divorce. So it's not a gravy train just because you're married. I do believe in getting married to give your children a fighting chance of having that structure However, it has to still make sense. And he doesn't really talk a lot about the making sense part. So for whatever reason, he chooses to not really go into that in depth on his platform. I know I've heard him say, well, there's certain things he feel like, well, it should be understood to not be with someone who's mistreating you, abusing you, or whatever. But you've mentioned a lot, Miss B, that you feel like sometimes he should mention it because you never know who's listening and who needs to hear it. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Because it's like I said, just like marriage is different levels, and there are different levels to why people do the things that they do. And irregardless of how you try to criticize a woman for making the mistakes she's made, the men to make the mistakes they made, it goes deeper than, why do you keep doing it? It's something going on somewhere in there. And when you're talking to people like that, you know, if that disconnect is there, they're not going to get it. They're not going to get it. So you're just basically talking to a selected few that really, you know what I mean? It's just, for me, if you, again, he said he's just only trying to reach a certain people. I get that. And I'll just leave that there. But for me, I would like to say things to if I could touch one person, if I could touch anybody and say the things that I could say, I want to leave a positive impact on that person. You know, I want to leave a positive impact on that person. Me, I take it personal because I once was a single mother. I once got pregnant when I was 18. No, excuse me, I was 19. And my father asked me and my son's father, so what are y'all going to do? Y'all going to get married? Him and I both at the same time said, hell no. You know, and there was nothing wrong with him. You know, we was just kids having fun.
Right. And like what you just said, like when I'm talking to people, I talk to people not knowing what they already know. So I give them all the information. So as you know, in comparison to him, he speaks, you know, as he say, high level. He thinks, oh, well, you should know not to be with someone who's mistreating you, abusing you. When I'm speaking to people in general in life on this platform, I'm covering all bases because you don't know what somebody knows. Exactly. And as you say, you don't know what resonates with other people and what somebody maybe needed to hear. Because maybe someone never heard before, it's not okay to be hit on because they come from generations of seeing that take place.
That's what they
exactly. They don't know. You don't know what you don't know. So to hear it maybe they could hear it for the first time, like, wow, I never heard anyone say that. I just heard someone say, ride it out, stand by your man, you know, till death do us part.
But Tammy Wynette said that, didn't she?
So you don't know. So I speak from a place of, I don't have, you know, I guess you could call them my channel, maybe the beginners, because I'm covering all bases. And if you stick around long enough, you're going to get the intermediate and an advanced. But I'm covering all bases because I don't know where people, I don't know where people come from. So just anytime I speak, I ask questions. I'm very detailed. And then based on the conversation and the responses, it lets me know, okay, where this person is and maybe how deep I can go in the conversation or what type of questions to ask. I know talking with you, Ms. V, it can be very high level because you already know certain things. But talking to a young girl who's impressionable, maybe like a 19-year-old, oh, I'm starting at the bottom because my assumption is she don't know nothing.
Oh, I just had a thought. What if a young person, a young lady, right, listens to that, hear him say, you're unsuccessful because you had a child out of wedlock. There's no way you can be successful if you're not married. She hears this. Now, mind you, she don't have the money to get into his coaching group or whatever. That would affect that young lady. And that would be all she would know or think, wow, I got this kid now and there's no way I can be successful. Nobody wants me, you know, because let's just be very transparent. I can be transparent because this is not your story. When I had my son back in the day, my mom will always say, a man don't want a ready-made family. So with my mom them saying that after I had my son, his father walked out of our lives. He didn't want to have anything to do with our child. But I had a stronger mentality than that. You see what I'm saying? Everybody don't have a strong mentality like that. So again, I personally feel like you have to be careful how you put things out there. And another thing I want to say, there's a vibe to every tribe. And I guess if you're in his vibing with him, then you're in his tribe. I say I have a select people that is for me, that would navigate to me. And you yourself have people that is already predestined to be with you, to for you can minister to them, talk to them, and help them along their way. As for me, I feel the same way, and as for him, the same thing too. But again, I'm more partial to being more empathetic, sympathetic to the younger person. Let them know, listen, babe, this is not the end all be all, and you don't have to get married because you're pregnant.
You have to, as they say, you have to speak life into people.
Absolutely.
So I definitely believe in speaking life into people. You regularly speak life into me and everyone else you talk to. That's just what you do, which is why I love talking with you, because you're just all about encouraging. And I always say about myself, if a woman come around me, and even if a man, but in particular a woman, she might came with me with low self-esteem, but when she leave,
that's
the way I'm a sow into her, it ain't gonna be the case, because I believe in lifting people. And people know when they've made a mistake. Like, they may not know how to do better, but they know when they've done something that just wasn't right. So you don't have to keep beating, as they say, a dead horse. Talk to them, speak life into them. Let them know this ain't the end. There's so many people who choose to just check out because they feel like, or somebody told them that there was nothing else left for them. And as you use the example of, what if someone hears that and they already just struggling emotionally, and then they hear that message of, there's nothing left for my life, it's done. How many times have we heard a woman say, after I got pregnant or had my first child, I thought my life was over? But there's so many people who follow with, but
come on through here.
I haven't come across anybody personally where they say, I thought my life was over, and then that was it. Like, so what they say, there's always what they say, it's a rainbow after end of the storm, because the storm don't last forever. That's why there's the rainbow. So you have to just speak life into people. And that's just something that we both have in common. We believe in speaking life into people. And it's just not about just ridicule, because what does that do at the end of the day? You're just reminding this person of how they're quote unquote a failure. Like, that's not doing anything. Speak life. And if you're about solutions, you understand the importance of speaking life into people. And it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
How you say it. Absolutely. Absolutely. And listen, I glimpsed over to the comments, and could you pull up what Melba said about the premarital sex?
Let me see. You said, who said it? Melba?
Melba. She said, what did she say?
Let me see. I'm trying to, there's so many.
Oh, I'm down at the bottom.
Let me see. What is that it? I think we need to talk about premarital sex because it's a real thing.
Yeah, and she goes deeper into it. And that is true. I mean, we can talk about sustaining from marriage. I mean, sustaining from sex till you're married. But let's just talk about it. Okay, I don't want you to have sex, but just in case you do, these are the precautions you take.
You got to have the conversation. So Queen Butterfly says premarital sex is the issue here. Stop having sex without being a wife. Yes, it's on both people, but women control who pregnates them in the first place. I agree. So, most of my conversations that I do have is with women, with women, it's not really with the man. So I am talking, since I'm talking to the woman, I'm talking about all the ways in which she can control it, because we can't rely on or trust that man is also going to be looking out for her and making sure that she's protected and guaranteeing that he's going to marry her or be around. All we can do is control our own selves, our own actions. That's all any of us can do at the end of the day. So Queen Butterfly is right. Like, it starts there. Stop not having sex before marriage. That is a start, but is it a reality? That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
So you got to decide on, like, where you want to spend your energy, because if you know that it's not a reality that people are going to do that, do you want to absorb your energy with speaking from that place? Or do you want to say, okay, we recognize we live in these times where there's social media, everything is hypersexual. Let's talk about, in the event you do choose to do that, how you can protect yourself. To me, I feel like that there's more weight that goes into taking the conversation there, because 90%, if not more, of the youth, 90% of people are not going to wait until marriage. We can just each stop and think about how many people we knew that waited until marriage. I personally can't sit here and say I know any person that did. When I just think, and if anybody did, maybe I didn't have conversations with them about it. But the people I've had that have been in my personal life, I know they did not wait. So we just have to be realistic about the matter. We can still, I say, when we're raising our kids, we can say, hey, wait until marriage. But once they're grown and gone, Queen, it's a whole nother conversation you're needing to have, with your children. You need to be talking about safe sex at that point. Because more than likely, when you circle back around and even have another conversation with them, it's probably too late. They've already done it. Because they're more influenced by the people in society, like their peers, social media, than their family, the people who actually care about them. And it's sad, but it's just the way it is, especially once they leave your home. Right now, my children are in my home, but I know that they're not going to always be in my home. So I'm just going to have to hope that they're living their life based on the values that my husband and I instilled in them. Because at the end of the day, that's all that I can do, because they're going to be out living their own lives just like you are, Queen. Miss V is, how I am. And we just rely on just what we learned. And I'm sure we all can contest to some things we stuck with us with our parents. And then we can all sit and say some things that didn't stick with us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with what you said.
Raquel Rose said, right, me too. I have an 11-year-old son.
Lashik,
yes.
Excuse me 1 second. Brenton, he would like to come on.
Could you? I can drop the link.
Yeah.
Let me see. It would be nice to listen, get a male perspective.
Brenton, yeah, he's very, it sounds like.
So we're going to drop it. Let me see.
You're doing it in the comment section.
Yes.
And thank you guys for participating in this conversation.
Yes.
This is a much needed conversation to be had, because a lot of people don't, we can all agree to disagree.
Okay. I dropped it in there a few times. So
okay, I told him you dropped
got it.
I would love to hear his perspective on, because he want to talk about the issues with the single Black mother.
Okay.
Lashik, I don't know where it's at, but I saw it earlier when we were talking, but I don't know if it was Brenton that said it or somebody said they was raised in a single family home and they grew up just fine. The father, husband, or something came out just fine. Did you see that?
Let me see. Somebody's saying they were saying, let me see. Was it Melba maybe?
No, it was Queen. Queen Butterfly.
Queen Butterfly. Let me see. Let me scroll
at
up.
8:44.
You said at 8:44 she made that comment. All right, 8:44. I'm almost to you, Queen. Let me see. There's so many comments in here. Okay, here we go. Maybe it's this. You said 8:44. Queen Butterfly. Know men who have had no father and turned out to be great fathers. Yeah, my cousin is one. So it happens. Like anything, I think it's a device. I see Brenton trying to come up, but it looks like it's saying it's a technical issue. They need Brenton. It's showing your device isn't connecting to the cam. Try to go out and come back in if you can hear me. Okay. But everything starts with a mindset. So I don't think things are just male, woman. It's the mindset.
And if anybody on here that is single, and whoever come across this video, if you're a single mother, listen, know that you are enough and that you can have a successful life. You can have a successful life. I'm going to say that again. You can have a successful life without being married?
I will
One more
say,
time, put it again down. You can have a successful life without getting married. Shonda Rhimes, good example. Me, good example. Although I'm married now, I'm sorry, Lashik. Go ahead.
no, I believe you can have it. You know, if you want to have a successful life, you can, whether you're married or not. I advocate marriage because I feel like it's at the end of the day, numbers show that it's the best outcome for the family. You know, when I say the family in particular, the children.
Mm-hmm.
However, I understand also that not all situations, marriage is on the table. I do get
Thank
that,
you.
and in those situations, that doesn't mean that you still can't live your best life. Like, it's up to you. At the end of the day, everything is in the mind. So if
Thank you.
you have in your mind that regardless of, you know, because I believe in like having things like that fuel you
Mm-hmm.
for your success. Where they say the naysayers, if someone say you can't do something, you know, you and I talked about that, Miss V, you prove them wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you show them with your actions. So if someone counted you out because you got pregnant at a young age, you were a single mom, show through your actions that, you know, you're still in the game, you're still winning. Because, you know, I'm sure arguably there's a lot of people who are more successful than Mr. Lego. We talked about Kylie Jenner,
Yes.
Shonda Rhimes. There's so many. We have Jennifer Hudson. There's so many, because a lot of these celebrities out here ain't getting married.
Right.
You know, this marriage thing that's a whole nother conversation where people not really running to the altar like that.
Mm-mm. And thank you for saying that. That's the other caveat. And again, marriage is a beautiful thing. It really is. When you with the person that you're with, you're gonna have your highs, your lows. And the thing about it is, are you willing to work through those things, right? And I feel like that it's levels to it. You know, are you willing to go to counseling? Are you willing to do the work to stay married?
Listen, somebody got mad at me when I use the word work when I describe it. And I'm like, well, no matter how you slice it and dice it, it's still work, whether it's effort, work, whatever it is. I knew it had to be somebody that wasn't married because someone in the comments like, clearly you're not married, you know, because it is, you work at it, and work doesn't have to be grueling. Like, who said work have to be negative? It's
Right.
what you think work is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, work is effort. You putting effort
Effort,
in
you put it
something.
in the effort, you know. And it's not no you have, and we discussed this, you got two imperfect people coming together as one, and you don't really see the other side until you're living under the same roof.
So what she said, Raquel Rose said, if you wouldn't want your children to do it, it's wrong. So I take it where she's talking about with leading by example. You
Mm-hmm.
know, don't do something that, you know, if your children did it, you wouldn't be proud of. So, you know, that's something, you know, to think about that makes a lot of sense. You know, I'm all about leading by example.
And my thing for the alpha males, I have no problem with a man being a man in a relationship. I have no problem with that. What I do have a problem with is dictatorship. We spoke on that
Yes.
earlier. That dictatorship thing, like, I've been raised once. I don't need to be raised again. You know, we can agree to disagree. You know, and Mr. Let Go, I'm gonna find that video and I'm gonna do
Reaction
a
video.
reaction video to it where he was like, I'm gonna tell them how much to eat because I'm the leader. I'm the head of the house. Like, how dare you?
But as we talk, these are things that we as women have to pay attention to and vet early
Come on
on
through here.
before
Yes.
marriage. Because I always say, if you let someone talk long enough, they'll tell everything. They'll tell them. They'll reveal themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's important to not rush into things.
Bye.
You can't rush into things because it's the process that you got to go through. Because if you let things run its course in the manner in which it should, you're going to learn how, if this man is going to show up for you, say, if you get pregnant, if they have any plans on marrying you, do they want to build a home with you? Like, it's going to come out, because I always say it's only so long that the representative can show up. Eventually the real you starts coming out, and that's man or woman. That's why it's important to let things like run its course. Date a guy for a year or two, because I feel like ain't nobody still a fraud after 2 years. Within that 2 year, they didn't
You're gonna
start.
see a whole
You're
lot.
gonna see a lot. That's more than enough time to really see what you're working with. And a lot of times we choose to stay blind because we don't want to deal with stuff. So we play crazy. Well, I didn't know.
You felt it.
We have
There's no way any woman or any man can get with anybody and not see signs. We choose not to see the red flags. We choose, because now I will say this as women, we see what we want to see. We want to try to make it to what we want to make. You want to take this square and turn it to a circle, fit a circle into a square, because that's what,
Yes, we do that. We're definitely guilty of that. Queen Butterfly says most likely if you give a man a baby before a marriage, he will leave you. I agree with that. That's how you got a lot of single moms. That's exactly what happened.
Again, I don't agree with that, because as we spoke yesterday, I know couples that have been together for years, and they just said they're not married, but they raise their children. The father is in their lives. And again, it's not, I don't know if I don't know the statistics of how that is in the world today, but I do know couples that have raised their children. Was one particular couple, both of their kids went to college. Daughter played basketball over, what was this? Is it a league, like a professional league in Europe? They're not married. They've been together over 20 some years. So that don't hold for everybody.
Well, no, that's why she said most likely.
Oh,
so that's what, yes.
There I go. I left
so
that
you be getting in that all or not. So that's what I say. I like to just point out that there's nothing that's all. So what I fare on is where most of the data lie. So most of the data does lie on that man not being in that child's life like that. That's how you
so for me, that data. Now I was in that data, Queen.
Yes, I mean, my mama was in that data. Yeah, so many of us was in that data. So we do, as I like to say, anomaly. You have those situations where we can speak on the unicorns where that didn't happen, but we can't ignore the fact that that is not the norm. That isn't the rule. Because we could look at the number, like 80%. The last time I checked, about 79 to 80% of babies were born out of wedlock. So it can't be working the way, like in drastic numbers, like what you described, if that's what our numbers are looking like.
Let me share this with everybody. So when I moved out of my mom's house when I was like 19, and I was renting a trailer from this white lady. And so I was out in the yard planting some flowers one day, and she was like, I noticed you hadn't been going to work. Well, she didn't know I was pregnant. And because they always, talked about how, I was a good young lady, I always worked, da 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 da. And when I stood up, my belly was sticking out. She was like, Lord, you done went and got yourself pregnant. I was like, yeah, I'm pregnant. She was like, well, what in the world you do that for? Now you done messed your entire life up. That was a white lady that told me that. I said, no, I didn't. No, I haven't. She's like, yes, you have. Why in the world would you want to go get pregnant? You done messed your entire life up. And I said, well, you know what? We ought to have an heir to leave our stuff to. Look, I ain't have shit. We got to have an heir to leave our stuff to. And I said, you just never know. I don't want to be alone, And what if I would have listened to her? What if I would listen to that white hag talk about some, yeah, you done went and messed, I didn't. Get on somewhere.
Because, I mean, it's the same goes with statistics show if you're a product of like a single mom, like so my mom was a single parent or a teenage parent. So based on the stats, that should have been my story. That should have been my sister's story.
Mm-hmm. But look at you.
Yeah, like it. So you can't, like I said, I look at data and it tells us a story. That's what it is. It's a story. And it's how you choose to consume, how you choose to take in that information, what you choose to do with it. So me knowing the statistics and data shows, hey, Lashik, if because your mom was a teen parent, you're going to likely be a teen parent. I say the devil was a lie, and that wasn't going to be my story.
Right.
And clearly my sisters said the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to decide, because it's all about just, life is about choices and what we choose to do, not what somebody tells us. So I wasn't going to let some statistician tell me what was going to happen with my life. So it still was like the same message of someone telling my mom, okay, your children now aren't going to be worth nothing because you had them as a teenage girl. And then, so it's like somebody can tell you anything. It's up to you with how you choose to receive it. We have a lot of choice in this. And a lot of times we don't realize how much power we have.
Oh, absolutely.
We think that just because somebody said something,
it doesn't. Go ahead now, sis.
It doesn't work that way. It's like, okay, do you believe it? Somebody can say anything, but what do you believe? If you believe otherwise, then that's not going to be your truth. They can believe whatever they want. You can say, okay, well, let's sit back and watch, and just watch me now. Let me show you. I can show you better than I can tell you. And that's pretty much how I've kind of lived my life, showing more so than telling. Just sit and watch me. So somebody that sees me and my life and all that I have, when I tell my story, they're surprised, because I'll admit, you wouldn't expect, my life to maybe have been what it was when you looking, as I like to say, you look at my resume. When I say resume, I'm just talking about just everything pertaining to my life and what I've accomplished, and when they hear my story, it's like, I just want to be, I want to empower other people, other women. I want to be an example that you can do and be whatever you want to be. And just because you maybe came from maybe a struggle type situation, a single parent type home, a family where there was a bunch of women just working together to try to raise the children to the best of their ability, that don't have to be your story, your ending. Life is what you make it. So it's up to you to say, write your own book. I'm writing my own book.
Exactly. And I'm going to see what the end of this chapter going to be. I got the pen. But you know what? One of the things I would say, we talk about, we were talking about how, Mr. Let Go was saying a woman cannot be successful by being a single parent. What can we say and do to encourage young women that are in situations, whether you have 1 kid, 2 kids, 3 kids, 5 kids? The reality is there are single mothers out here that have those children, right? What can we say to them? And not only them, what can we say to the fathers to say, hey, step up to the plate, king, because you're a king. On my Facebook, I address my audience as kings and queens. And I don't know why I started doing that, but it makes me feel good to address a man as king and the women as queens, because that's what you are. Irregardless of what you've done in your life, where you failed it in your life, guess what? You still a king and you still a queen, and you still can step up to the plate. One of the things that I would suggest, listen, if you don't know how to get it right, get in a coaching group, get a mentor, get somebody that, is where you want to be, and follow their footsteps. Will it be easy? No, hell no, it's not going to be easy, but you're worth the fight. You are worth the fight.
I feel we all need somebody to speak life into us. And we all don't have that person in our lives, in our personal lives, that can be that person. And that's okay. You can find that person on the internet, such as somebody like Ms. V or myself, where when you feel like you need to be uplifted and encouraged, you can come over, watch our content, drop a message, ask a question. That's what we're here for. I always say, each one teach one. We're here to encourage. You ask me, what would I say a woman who, feels like or has been told that your world has come to an end because you're now pregnant or you're a single mom? I'd say, let your naysayers, let them be your motivator. Show them. And then for that man who feel like, okay, I'm too young to be a father, stop and ask yourself, does your child deserve a father? Did you have a father? And if your answer is no, how did that make you feel? Now, put that emotion into that child? Would you want your child to
Mhm.
feel that way, to be sitting by the window waiting for daddy to show up and he never come, to have those broken promises? Would you want your child to experience that type of heartache? You just have to stop. People have to get out of themselves and start thinking about other people, such as their children. Because
Mhm.
that woman who may feel defeated, think about your child. How do you want your child to see you? Do you want your child to see strength when they see you? Do you want your child to be encouraged when they see you, to want to do
Mhm.
great things when they see you?
Mhm.
Every day in everything that I do, I think about the example that I'm showing my 3 children, 2 boys and a girl, because I know that as a woman, I'm their first example as a woman, and my husband is their first example of a man. So when they leave our home, I want them to know what to base how a man and a woman should be conducting themselves, in particular when they're looking for partners.
Mhm.
You want, I want my daughter to find a man who has the characteristics of her father, who can treat her just like her father, how she's seen her father treat her mother. I want my sons to treat a woman as they've seen, as they, I want them to emulate what they've seen, because I feel like my husband and I do a very good job at
Mhm.
being a positive example.
Mhm.
We are the example. I don't want their example to have to come from out of the home, because that's when it starts to get shaky.
Mhm.
When I talk about that internet, or
Absolutely.
it gets shaky there. So you want that positive example to come from you. And
Mhm.
you want to start early, from when they're knee high, with
Mhm.
speaking that into them, to where it becomes a way of life, where they know how to speak to elders, how they know how to be respectful. They know all these things.
Mhm.
So when they do move, leave the home, become adults, they're just now adults, still moving the same way.
Mhm.
It's about what you instilled in your child. So we have to just think about that and just remove our emotions from it. Because I think a lot of us make decisions based off of how we're feeling,
Mhm.
and not really what's best for the children, what's best for the family. It's a I've been guilty of it. I think
Selfless.
we've all been that, to be married, I always say, it's a selfless, that's
Mhm.
a selfless act, to say, okay, I want to be a husband or a wife. Because as you and I both know, it's a give and take.
Mhm.
You can't be selfish talking about you married, and you're like, it ain't gonna work. It's not gonna work, or the other person is not gonna be happy, and eventually it may end in divorce. You got to have respect for one another, and
Absolutely.
you have to show that you value one another each and every day, regularly.
Mhm.
It starts there. So we just got to set a positive example.
Absolutely, absolutely. I do agree with that, and I want to go back. So I just want to go back to the single mother. I want to go back to there and just let whoever tunes into this know it is not too late to turn your life around. It is not too late. I am 53 years old and I'm back in school. Right? It's not too late. I'm the oldest one in my class. They call me Gigi. They call me auntie. Hell, they even call me granny. But it's not too late. And no matter what you hear that's negative about your situation, only you can change it. I think it first start with self-love, loving yourself. You got to love yourself to want more. And then you have to teach people how to treat you. And it's okay to get counseling. There's nothing wrong with counseling. There's nothing wrong with to finding who you are, to find out what you like. And even in having children, being a single mother, you still have to take out that time for you to find out what you love, and whatever it is that you love, expound upon that. And loving you. And you men, I ain't gonna leave you out. Step up to the plate. You want to lead, you got to lead by example. Not
Yep.
through dictatorship, but lead
Example.
by example. Step up to the plate. If you haven't been taking care of your kids, start taking care of your kids.
Lead by example. Queen Butterfly says, as long as the food is healthy, you can't control everything your spouse does. That's crazy.
I'm
It
telling you.
is.
But see, that's the thing, Queen. Queen, you have some men that all they want to say is you need to get married. You need to get married. But what if the person, and again, I know you need to, before you slept with them, did you see all of this? Well, how many times have you met somebody you haven't seen the real person, right? Until after the fact. and you say, no, go ahead and get married. And then you married a damn Hitler. Listen, lights out, 7 o'clock. If you ain't took a bath by now, you ain't taking one, and you ain't running my water. I mean, I couldn't do it.
You and me both. Listen. You and me both. They better go get that passport. You know, they got the passport bros out there. You go. Let me go and give you a ride to the post office so you can apply for that passport. Because what we're not going to do, you're not going to be running me and telling me when I'm going to eat, breathe, sleep. That's what we're not going to do. But I always say people know what they can, you know, what type of person they can get away with doing.
And another thing, LaChic and Queen, don't ever be so desperate to get married, to settle, find yourself settling for anything. Especially if you have children. You can't just marry anybody. You can't just marry anybody, because when kids are involved, listen. LaChic said it best. Listen, if my kids ain't feeling you, I'm sorry, bruh. You got to go. I don't care what you got, how much money you make. If my kids not feeling you, because it ain't about what you want. It's what is best for you and your family. And Mr. Let Go was totally wrong when he said you're not a family unless you are married. That is the biggest lie ever told. Your kids are your family. And at the end of the day, if you get married and have kids, let me tell you something. That man will walk out on you if it don't work, but your kids will always be there for you. They'll always be there for you. So don't be in a rush. Don't be in a rush to just be what they call them, a pick me, or I don't know what that is.
Yeah, they call them the pick me, the ones who will just overlook all of that just for the sake of being picked. And I just think, you know, we got to think smart. We got to use common sense, intuition. If something don't feel good, if something has your body feeling stressed, sick, like your body will tell you if something's not for you. Your hair falling out, you're breaking out, he done made your nerves bad. Like all of that. No, that I'm just gonna let you know that ain't how it's supposed to be, ladies.
It is not how it's supposed. And stop ignoring the signs. And another thing, can I say this, Chic?
Yes.
Hold on. Let me get my girl right here.
Queen want to know if he married.
No, ma'am. Queen, did you really? No, ma'am. No, would you marry him? Somebody telling you how much you gonna eat on your plate.
Look, what they say, drop a 1 in the chat if you will marry him. Drop a 1 in the chat. Put some color behind it.
Yes, ladies, drop a 1 in the chat if you would marry Mr. Let Go. Drop a
look, Queen, you cute. Would you marry him? You cute.
Look, Queen is cute. Queen is cute. Listen, let's stop ignoring the warning signs. Listen, if you have standards, if somebody is going against your standards.
Thank you, Raquel.
Yes, if somebody going against your standards, know that that's a strike.
Right.
Stop lowering them. If you saying, example, like for me, if I met somebody and they smoke cigarettes, that was a no for me. I'm just saying that was a no for me. And if they smoke, I'm not gonna be like, well, you know, they smoke. And a man that drink couldn't do it. And I'm not taking, nope. If he was a recovering, nope. But that was just me. So what I'm saying is, if you have standards or whatever, don't lower them just for the sake of having somebody. Because the right one will come along. Hello,
you got to have some standards, and so many people don't. And I think women, especially as they start to get older and that biological clock is ticking, they want to have babies, then I think that's really when you start seeing it lowered, because they're trying to beat the clock, you know. So that's why I also say, you know, when you're just even in your younger years, when you're just thinking ahead, take a time in between partying and start thinking about your life, so you don't feel like, okay, you hit 30 and now this is mad rush between 30 and 35 to get pregnant. Like, be intentional as you're in your 20s having a good time, and you recognize someone who's a good person. Like, you know, cultivate that relationship. You may not have to marry him right then and there, but keep that in mind, that this is somebody that may want the same thing as you, and start having the conversation about if whether or not they have any desires to want to marry and have a family. Don't wait until, in the final hour, you celebrating your 32nd birthday, and now you got a bottle and you crying because you ain't got no man. Your good eggs gone. Like, don't do that. We gotta listen. We are most viable, like, when we're younger, when we're in our like, don't waste those years. Like, be
Yes.
intentional. I just say move with intent. Move with
Intention.
intent. I was married at 23. I'm not saying get married at 23, but what I'm saying is at 23, keep an open mind as you're crossing paths with people and factoring in if they're a type of person that maybe you would like to, maybe, or you can see yourself spending your life with. Like, just think about it. Just think about it, because far too many people aren't thinking about it until it's far later in life, and then that's when they're in this rush and they just listen, taking any and everything. Melba says, I don't agree with slamming of children and harping on premarital sex. Be transparent with your children and stop being so perfect, and teach them about the consequences of sex. I agree, Melba. You got to have those real conversations with your children, as scary as they may be, because Lord knows I know how scary they are. Listen, my daughter, she's 12. She's been advanced all her life. I used to tell her, listen, you're gonna have to talk to your brothers about the birds and the bees, because I don't want to do it, because it's not something, we don't want to go there with our children. We don't want to think about them doing those things, but it is conversations that we do have to have with them. So I am definitely thankful that I do have a husband, my children's father. And when it comes to our sons, he can have those conversations with them. And then, I do have a daughter. So listen, we're going to have these conversations are being had and will continue to be had while they're in the home. And even when they leave the home, when they go off to college, we're going to you still got to check in. They're still your children. You still got to circle in. You still got to let them know that you're still there for them as a support, no matter what point they are in their life. Even when get pregnant, they get themselves in a situation. Your children are your children forever.
Yes.
So you always have to speak life into them, because if you don't, who else will? No one's going to take care of your babies better than you. That's what my mom said. No one's going to take care of your babies better than you.
You are absolutely right. Because let me tell you something. My daughter had her child, my first grandbaby, at she was 16. No, she was 17. She was 17 when she had her first child. The first thing I told her, this ain't end all be all. You still gonna be great. You still gonna be good in life, and you still can have a great life. Now let's get up and make it happen.
What else is there to say? Raquel Rose said, right on, Melba. My mother raised me Catholic, but also preached birth control. She was real about sex and responsibility behind it. So a lot of times I feel like people think that if I don't have the conversation, then it's not going to become a situation. Like, how you ignore it. Like, okay, you just kind of like, if I keep turning my head, it'll go away. And it don't work that way.
No, it doesn't.
You got to deal with it head on, because what they say, if you don't deal with it today, you're going to deal with it tomorrow.
You know what? One of the things, we had a conversation, my son and my daughter and I, we was like, we need to normalize talking about sex, because it's so taboo to talk about sex to be talked about on a regular basis, to make so you won't feel like it's such a shame. Oh, I can't say this. No, it's okay to talk about sex. Let's get educated about sex like we get educated about everything else. And then we don't have to worry about, different things happening and you not being in the know. No, we're not going to know everything, but let's just have a conversation and talk about it freely, to where you won't feel embarrassed, or where you won't feel ashamed to talk about sex. Because guess what? The kids are talking about it behind your back. Who you want them to learn something from? The streets, as you say, or you? A lot of people don't want to talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk
people
about
don't want to talk about it.
Like we talk about personal hygiene.
And I wonder where that come from, because it's just something that people even myself, it's just not something that I don't know that anyone wants to talk about. Like, it looks like, why is it saying Mr. Let Go was trying to, add to.
Is
Let
he
me
trying
see
to
if
come
he's.
in?
I think he is. Let me see.
I just
I
dropped it
don't
in
know
the
if there's
chat.
a bad connection, Mr. Let Go. Okay. Hey, can you hear us?
Hey,
How you doing?
y'all can hear you?
Welcome.
How are y'all?
We're
Hi.
well. Thanks for joining us. We just
Thank
getting
you
into
for
just
coming in. Yes, Mr. Let Go in the building, ladies. There you have it. Where the ones at? I don't see no ones in the chat.
So I'm just coming in. So y'all gotta catch me up on what's going on because I just got done with my coaching class.
Mhm.
okay. Cool. We're just talking about, so we were going over one of your videos where, you were pointing out to the lady how being a single mother isn't success, and providing all the reasons why, because, there's not a father around. Many women are doing a lot of great things as far as, when it comes to their career, making money. And to them, they're like, okay, I'm doing the doggone thing. I'm successful. Yes, I got children, but look what else I got. So we're talking about things from that standpoint, because I pointed out there's a lot of celebrities, Mr. Let Go, that's being baby mamas, even the non-black ones. Like when you think about it, almost all the Kardashians, like there's so many of them. It's almost like people are getting away from marriage, but
Hold
you
on.
see them doing these great things as far as like with getting to the money or getting out these accolades. So the question is, what is considered success? Is that something that's subjective? What success looks like for you? Does it look different for Veronica or myself? Can someone tell you you're successful, or is that something that you conclude yourself? So what's your thoughts on that?
If you look at success as being you and you are a single mother, you're selfish because success is about the family and not just you. Now, if you're just a single person and there's nobody else, yeah, you can be successful. But when you have kids, just like I said in that video, um, your success doesn't matter. It's about the success of the family unit. And in most cases, these single mothers run around.
He just went back.
It's showing on mute. You're on mute.
Oh, okay.
It's showing him on mute. He got to unmute himself. Because I don't have him muted. Let me see. Unmute Mike. Yeah, he's on mute. I can't control it. Go out and try to come back in.
Okay.
Hey, we can
Okay,
hear
we're
you.
back now.
Y'all hear me now?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes.
we can hear you.
All right. So when it comes to success, it's about a family and not you. And I think a lot of women are very selfish and they only care about, because people don't want to hear it, but I say women act like children. So it's like all they care about is look at me, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, look at me. And it's kind of really sad because it's a look at us and not look at me. So if your child is missing their dad, and all you can sit around and say, look at me, hey, I'm successful, like you have some problems, because I think there's a lot of attention whores out here, male and female, and we get addicted to the attention that social media is giving us, the attention our peers are giving us, and we're so focused on what they are doing for us to make us feel good, where we're not paying attention to our children. Because while you're running around on social media as a woman saying, look at me, I got all this money, your child is like, hey, mom, look at me, I'm riding my bike. Or look at me, I got good grades, and you don't care because it's all about you. So when we just look at the family unit being messed up and single mothers running around still saying they successful with their little wigs on and stuff, like it's all an image and is destructive to our communities. Because one, if you run around saying you're a single mother but you're successful, you're ignoring the fact that you failed in either marriage or in getting married. Now a failure is just, that's one little thing. You can still have a great life, but It's like a football team that ain't won nothing talking about they're Super Bowl champions. That don't make no sense. So to me, a single mother that still has her life and her family unit still in shambles, baby daddy can't get along with him, kids don't see their daddy, or kids acting up in school. If that's your life, you're like a football team running around bragging about how they don't won the Super Bowl and they ain't won nothing. If your life is in shambles and you have this image with your little wig on and just run around saying, I got all this money, you're not necessarily a good person, because all you really care about is yourself and not your kids and your the background, because there's an image. Women love to put on this image like, hey, I got everything going on great in my life. But you pull them layers back and it's trash. And that's what happens with a lot of single mothers.
So you're saying not all, but some. And I can understand that, and I can get with that as far as saying, because again, all single mothers are not trash, but there are some that can do more work than others. I feel like men as well should step up to the plate, because why would a man want to have a child and leave that mother?
Well, he don't want to have a child.
Huh?
He don't want to have a child. Most of the men that women are having sex with don't want them. They don't want the child. They don't want her. They just want to smash. They want some ass and leave. And the woman ends up pregnant inadvertently, through sex. And the dude is like, man, please, either it ain't mine or I don't want no baby. So when you ask, how can a man want? He don't want. He doesn't want the woman. He doesn't want the child. He don't want none of that stuff.
Well, both of them are at fault at that then. Both.
Well, that's not the point. We're talking about single motherhood is failure. What I got to do with the man?
You can't be a single mother without having the sperm of the donor.
Well, why did she sleep with a man that didn't marry her? Isn't she
Why
kind of
would
stupid?
he want to sleep with a woman without being protected? Because he didn't care just as well as
because she chose a stupid man.
And he chose a stupid woman.
So where do we go from here?
Both of them are responsible.
This is a conversation that seems to never go away. Now what?
Exactly. Now what? We were speaking about that earlier today. In this segment, we always talking about
it. Well, what about the men? I just don't understand. This is just some weird mess that just never. Why do women do this crap? Why?
The same reason
why is it
men
well, what about the men? What is this helping anybody do? Why do women do this? What is the problem?
What is the problem with men want to have sex?
Here we go again. What's the problem? The video is me and a woman talking about single motherhood, and all you want to do is sit around and talk about a man. I'm talking to a woman in the video about single motherhood, and all you want to do is say, what about a man?
Because a woman can't get pregnant without a man.
A woman can get pregnant without a man. It's her saying yes. See, the pregnancy starts up here. Stop right there. The pregnancy starts up here. All right. Just like the cheating starts up here. All right. The murder starts up here. All the things that people do starts up here. Unless it's a mistake and somebody just, and then next thing you know, somebody, something like that. But other than that, all the things that we as humans do starts up here. So she was pregnant up here before she was pregnant down here. These are decisions. And when it comes to women, you don't care about your own decisions. You care about other people's decisions because there's always something happening to you. And that is the reason why I say women are children, because y'all have no understanding of accountability. It's always, well, a man did this to me. It's always what somebody did to you. What about what you did to you? It starts up here. You, not saying y'all, because y'all are married, but these single mothers, they ruin their own lives and sit around whining about somebody else ruining them. No, you ruined your own goddamn life. Your legs wide open, your ass is up in the air. Like, why you ain't required a damn man to have a condom? Why you had it's just stupid and idiotic. And all women want to do is whine about men. And that is the reason why, the specific reason why women are children. It's like a child. You spill some milk on the floor and a brother did it, and you say, clean up the floor. What the child gonna say? Well, I ain't do it. Clean up in a damn way. It's never like there's milk on the floor. That's the problem. Let's clean up the milk. But it's always, but I didn't do it. Pregnant ass women, I didn't do it.
Accountability on both parts. Accountability for her not taking ownership of what she's doing with her body.
Do y'all go to school for this crap?
Let me finish. Accountability on the man's part. If he don't want to have children, 9 times out of 10, when men have that mentality, if they get somebody pregnant, they're gonna walk away.
So why do y'all let men nut in y'all if that's the problem? Leave us the hell alone if y'all know this. If this is a fact, leave us alone. Make the man wear a condom. What is the problem then?
The problem is, why aren't men man enough?
Why aren't women enough to close their goddamn legs?
Mr. Lego, can I finish?
Go ahead.
Okay. Why aren't men responsible?
Because they're stupid. I'm just sick of having this whiny ass conversation about why don't men do this?
Because
like, is that the reason why I'm here?
You're putting all the blame on the females.
I'm not. The video in question is a man, which is me, talking to a woman, which is the woman in the video, about single motherhood is failure. And all you want to do is talk about somebody that's not in the video.
And I disagree with that. Well, no, I go back because you said not all women, not all single mothers.
There's nobody, there's no man in the video. There's me talking to a woman. Why is a man that's not in the video the subject of discussion?
It's accountability for me.
The man ain't there.
For both people. Again, you're right. He's not there.
So let's talk about the woman in the video. Okay, or me in the video.
She was a successful Black woman from what she was saying. She was saying she was successful. And you were saying she wasn't because she wasn't married and she had a child. And her family was not a family because they wasn't married.
Well, we weren't really talking about her in particular. We were talking about single motherhood is failure. That was it.
Single motherhood is a form of failure. Not across the board?
What?
Across the board or not across
what board?
You said single. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was going to say, say you have a woman who became became a mom, single parent, and she got other things going on. Regardless of whatever else she got going on, because she's a single mom, she's a failure. And then a question to that I have is, can she ever not? What would it take for her to no longer be a failure? Is it possible for her to no longer be a failure?
Yeah.
Your explanation.
Yeah, find a great man and him marry her, and now they're a married couple. And guess what? Her single motherhood is wiped out forever because she will never be a single mother again. Even if they split up or he dies, she'll either be a widower or a divorced mother.
So what if she gets, that is? So question, what if she gets married after she's raised that child and that she raised the child as a single mom? The child's now grown. She does eventually get married. The child is raised. How do you view her then as far as her level of success?
Well, at the end of the day, we can only fix the mistakes that we made. And the child isn't a mistake, but the fact that we had children without being married is a mistake because most of us were oops babies. So it just is what it is. We just had to be more responsible with our sperm in our womb. And as Black people, we just aren't. We just seem like we don't really give a shit. We just do random stuff, and it's just disgusting, you know? So at the end of the day, the solution is to prevent this from happening. But if you have a child, the simple thing you can do is to get some therapy, get some coaching, and work on your, whatever it is you got to deal with as far as being a single mother and, childhood trauma and stuff, and femininity, lack of femininity. And next thing you know, attract a man that wants to marry you and take you and your child in. And on top of that, you have to make sure your child has a mentor and not just you, because most children think their single mothers are stupid. So, you ever looked at how a kid looks at, if you have a single mom whether you're a female or male, you don't really have a lot of respect for your mother if she's a single mother.
If any males are in the chat box, if you was raised by your single mother, do you agree with that? If so, put a 1 in the chat box.
So daughters hate, well, I ain't gonna say hate. Their mothers usually hate the daughters. So the mothers have terrible relationships with their single mom, and the boys, we have loving relationships with our single mom, but we know that she don't know the hell she doing.
Are you speaking from your experience?
I'm speaking from talking to men for years.
You're talking to, well, you come from a single parent home.
Mm-hmm.
Did you look at your mother as being stupid?
Not stupid, but she didn't know the hell she was doing. We was homeless at one point. She didn't.
So
we were homeless at one point. Homeless. Okay. We were living in shelters and stuff. Hotels, okay. Motels, prostitutes. Wow. So that's the reason why I took over, because I'm like, you're going to get both of us killed out here.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, you know, and kudos to you for stepping up and helping your mom out, because it goes deeper than, you know, you all being homeless. You know, there was things going on with her that may have happened to her in her childhood that she
right.
never addressed, you know?
Right.
So, you know, kudos to you, because most boys, when they're in single parent homes, their thing is to take care of their mother. They want to take care of their mom, and they're going to take care of their mom, you know? Me personally, I know my son, when he was, I think he was 7 years old, he told me, he was like, Mom, I'll never let another man hurt you. He was 7, you know, and for you to hear you say that you took over. How old were you when you took over?
13.
You were 13. Mm-hmm.
I told my mom to sit down, and I'm taking over.
And as you talk about at 7, I remember at 7, my son telling his teacher, when she talked about having some issues at home with needing to do something, and he told her she needed a husband. Told her that. He was 7, you know. So she told us that, you know. So I don't know if it's just like the innate nature of a male, and then also, you know, his environment. He was used to seeing his dad take care of things. So, you know, she was a single woman, and that was just, you know, he just felt like, okay, if you have a man, he'll take care of that thing. That was his solution for her, and he was only 7 years old.
And so I want y'all to think about that. A 7-year-old has enough understanding of their environment that this woman needs a man. And a lot of these women run around talking, I don't need no man, I'm independent. That's exactly what I'm saying. A 7-year-old boy has enough common sense to know that this woman needs a man. But if you were to ask that woman, do you need a man? I don't need no man. I'm independent. You know what I'm saying? And that is what I'm saying. And I did a video about how actual children are actually more emotionally intelligent than grown women, because of what you just said. Their sense of awareness is heightened as children versus a woman. So, because usually when women are traumatized, they are children. So the child hasn't really been traumatized yet. So they actually can see life through a clearer lens than a woman. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times children are more understanding of what their role is in life than an actual grown woman.
Now, I will say to that, Lashik and we did another show, and we were talking about dating. And I will say that I did say, listen to your children, because oftentimes they can see further than you, and you only see what you see or what you want to see. And that I will agree with you on. But Brenton had put up there, he had stated that it's deeper than that, Mr. Lego. Brenton, could you expound on that? He wanted to come in, but his phone is messing up. If you could expound on that in the comments, we would greatly appreciate it. But with that, I will say I definitely agree with that, because children, they see things for what they are. And as women, sometimes we see what we want to see, you know.
Yeah, women don't listen, they interpret.
Well, you know, we don't listen to our intuition. We don't listen to our intuition.
You don't listen to nobody.
I wouldn't say we don't listen to anybody. You don't listen to anybody, Mr. Let Go. Now let's go there. Let's go. Boom. You.
But no, that's
what I will
Go
say
ahead.
is this is Lashik and I was talking earlier. I don't talk against marriage because I think marriage is a beautiful thing. What I will say, I don't advocate to just get married because you're pregnant.
Mhm.
I don't advocate to get married, because a child is involved. Although the statistics say that kids come from a better home with a married couple, from a married family. What I will say to that is, let's dive a little deeper before we start saying, you need to get married. What about looking into counseling, look into, making sure you're up to par to be the wife that you need to be or supposed to be, and the husband. We were
Mhm.
asked earlier in the chat, what do we think about traditional marriages? I'm going to tell you my take on a traditional marriage, Mr. Lego, and then you tell me your take, because I'm very interested in wanting to know your take on a traditional marriage. My traditional marriages, we don't have rules. Like, there's no rules just saying, you do this, you do this. I come in, there's no rules. Whatever needs to be done, you do what needs to be done. There's no more or less like, oh, I say none of that. We're 50-50, sometimes 70-30.
So that's
That's
modern, right?
huh?
That's modern, right?
Modern. I
But
don't know if
like
it's
the modern way, probably
modern
so.
day.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a modern marriage.
Mhm.
Yeah, we don't do no rules around here. I mean, we didn't even do no traditional, what do you call it when you say your vows? We said our own vows because we already knew what we had to say to each other. It's pretty much what we've been saying all along. So what is your take on on marriage? Would you want to go the traditional way? Because me personally, I think when you have a lot of rules, it just get too hectic. It's just too much rules.
But
For
everything in the
me.
world has rules. How can your marriage not have rules? And everything in the entire planet has rules. Traffic lights, it's store. You can't. Everything in life, everything you touch has rules. We have rules. Certain things we can't say on YouTube. So everything in the world has rules, but you don't have rules.
No, we don't.
What?
No, we don't have rules. I know you had said in one of the segments we were talking, you was like, I'm gonna tell them like how much to eat, and because in how the weight
I
should be
didn't
and
say
all this
tell
stuff.
them how much to eat.
What did
I
you
said I'm
say?
going to moderate everybody's food intake, and it's not really don't eat this, don't eat that. It's just going to be, if my woman is cooking, I'm like, babe, like, why are you giving her so much? Like, or what? You know what I'm saying? It's just going to be like, that's not a serving. Because, like, as an example, as far as food intake, if you go to Waffle House and get an all-American breakfast, that's 2 eggs, 2 sausage, hash browns, orange juice, and a waffle. That is actually 3 meals. 3 meals. 3. So if my woman fixed me all American or whatever you call it, like from Waffle House in house, I'll be like, all right, babe, this is a lot of food for one serving. This is 3 servings. So half a waffle, 1 sausage, and 2 eggs. That's what I want. And when I say that's what I want, that's what we need to be eating. Because at the end of the day, my energy is not just about what I say goes. I represent the direction of the family. So it's like, if I'm going to the gym on a normal basis, I'm going to be looking at them why they ain't going to the gym on a normal, the child and the mom. Why y'all ain't going to the gym? Because that's where we going. You know what I'm saying? I'm the bus. I'm the bus driver. We're going this way. Now, if the woman doesn't want to do this stuff, she's just on the wrong bus.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not me controlling anything, it's me leading something. This is what I want. And then you got to look at it, is this advantageous to the family? Yes.
Excuse me.
You want your little girl, little boy fat, or do you want them healthy? Well, let's make sure we monitor their food intake. Both of my kids are grown and they slim and, and not fat or whatever. So, I'm happy that, my ex-wife made sure their food was moderated after we split up, but I moderated everybody's food intake. My ex-wife, she's still fine to this day, but that came from 10 years of being together.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know for us what works for us, and that was one of the things. I like. It's just I'm not having a whole lot of rules, and we both agreed more or less. Go ahead, polish, moderate my cookie intake. You see that, Aaron?
See, we won't be doing all that. Like, you know, it'll be not no big old bag of cookies. Ain't no bag of cookies.
Aaron, listen. Do you know? Let me tell you something, Lasheen. Girl, you know, when we sitting here and watching our TV show, you know, we sitting up in the bed with our cookies. Look, my husband have a bowl of fruit. I have a bowl of fruit. We gonna eat our I wish I could call him in here now. Bring them little chips in there, and we sit in the bed watching TV. Eating, honey, give me some of them chips over there. Yeah.
Y'all going in.
We going in, and sometimes, honey, listen. We at one point we was eating some pecan pie with ice cream, and one day we looked at each other. Was like, we're gonna have to stop eating all this pecan pie at night in the bed. See, that's fun.
It just don't make no sense. You know, every now and then there's nothing wrong with that. Like, you know, you want to eat, you know, pig out or whatever, but no, just sit around eating like a slob. No, we're not doing that.
We're not talking about that. We're just talking about, like, listen, we got a snack cabinet all day. Listen,
I get
y'all,
it. Yeah.
We got a snack cabinet. You know what we're gonna do, Mr. Lego? When we do the whole thing, when I have a seminar here, one of the rules that's gonna be in this household is everybody gonna eat some snacks late at night. We're gonna eat snacks outside. Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
No. I just got done eating some grapes. I had put grapes in the cup, and I got my water right here. So, like I said, certain women just aren't right for me, because if you don't want to live this life, you know, I don't care. Just be with somebody else.
Well, I did talk about that with identifying early on these things, you know, because I think people wait until like after they're pregnant or a baby's here to start having conversations like this.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what were you guys talking about before? Like, we clearly know what y'all was doing, but we see also what you weren't doing. You weren't doing enough talking. And I feel like a lot of things, a lot of issues or problems can be eliminated if we start talking, do more talking. And I think it's not enough people just talking, because as he said, in the conversation, he's going to learn if whether or not you on that same wave as him. It's not going to be kind of like an after fact thing. So therefore, if he concludes you are on that wave, then when they're together, it's not going to be an issue because they were equally yoked. And I think enough people aren't learning that early on, and it's just a conversation after the fact. So.
And one of the things that I talked about in my coaching group, we was talking about regression, you know, how a person regresses back to the child in them when they get triggered. And one of the things that has caused issues in my relationships in the past, multiple times, is that what is embarrassing in your family system?
Explain.
Y'all are married. So I don't think y'all can really answer that. But when I'm dating a woman, I want to know what their family system is about, how they run their household, like what they do, how they, you know, just different habits or whatever, right? So it was a woman that I was dating one time, and we were on FaceTime. She was in the shower. We on FaceTime with each other. We on FaceTime when she get out of the shower, right? So she's still naked, and then she opens the door, and her kid jumps like, ah! She had I think, 8-year-old son. They were kind of like 8, 9, not 2, 3, right? Mm-hmm. Cognizant of what they're doing. And I'm on FaceTime with her. So I'm like, what just happened? Oh, my son just jumped in and was like, poo. And I'm like, why? It's like, what do you mean? So does that mean your son's seen you naked? She's like, Aaron, don't start. No, you're okay with yourself. Of course I'm not okay. So why did he do this? I don't know. He's a kid. Well, this means you don't have proper boundaries set in your household. Everybody on the planet knows what a shower sounds like. You were in the shower because I was on FaceTime with you while you was in the shower. We was talking. And you talking to me in the shower. So Everybody in the house knows you in the shower. So why in the world would your son be in the room, hiding behind something, ready to jump out at you, knowing that you're going to be naked? What are you like? Are you okay with this type of behavior? I'm not saying run around and go beat them up, but why aren't you setting boundaries in your house? Son, you're a boy. When I'm in a shower or when I'm upstairs, do not come in my room. You know, like what kind of boundaries do you have with your children? And as we were dating, I was able to see that she had a boundary problem with her sons. Sometimes we on the phone, he'll like be all in her lap. Like, do you have time to yourself or do you need me to call you back? You know, he's like, Mom. And I'm like, okay, there's an issue, you know, and now, so she's just like, see, you're so judgmental. No, I'm not judgmental. I see an issue that you don't see. So the problem isn't that I'm judgmental. The problem is you don't see that there's an issue. And with all that being said, we have a problem. So that is communication in the beginning. Because one thing I'm not going to do is wait until we together and we all this other stuff, and I got to deal with all this crazy stuff with your kid. Mm-hmm. So if you as a single mother doesn't know how to set boundaries with your kid, I don't want you.
So I'm glad that Raquel brought that up, because here in America, you know, she says, Lashik, if you don't mind if I read.
Go ahead.
She said, I grew up in Europe. Yeah, right. Everyone is always naked. That's not a thing over there. Like here, it's more or less like you ashamed of your body, and it's nothing, you know, to just, you know, be who you are. And I get it. You know, that was brought to my attention.
Be who you are around your
be who
kids.
You are, like, it's free.
What?
You're free. You're free.
They're children.
Yeah. Over in Europe, it's nothing. If you
We're not in Europe. What are you talking about?
But what I'm saying, here in America, we haven't normalized that.
Because that's stupid.
You can't say somebody else's culture is stupid.
It's stupid.
You cannot say somebody else's culture is stupid.
I don't give a damn. That's stupid. You don't walk around naked around your damn children. What kind of stupid shit is that?
Well, you're just ignorant to the fact of how other cultures
are.
No,
they're ignorant to the fact that it's stupid.
You're ignorant to the fact, and you're very close-minded. Exactly, Raquel. You're very close-minded.
That's some weirdo stuff to say you close-minded because you don't want to be naked around your kids. Okay, can we move on? I don't want to talk about this because this is starting to get disgusting and creepy.
No, good. This is what I want to see.
No. I don't want to talk about no children being recognized. I'll log off. I don't want to hear about no naked around no children. That's gross.
LOL. Go to the beach in Spain. It's their culture.
I don't want to talk about being naked around no kids. So I'm letting y'all know I'm setting my boundaries.
Okay.
All
right, fine. But I understand boundaries. I understand, you know, that, and again, those are conversations that you're right need to be had when you get into a relationship versus just getting into a marriage.
Mm-hmm. No, I would say as you're dating, you want to have these conversations. Because she gone, and I ain't got to deal with that.
Right. And it's a lot of uncomfortable conversation that need to be had in relationships. Mm-hmm. How are we going to move? Are we on the same wavelength? Just like you said, are we on the same bus as far as how you eat healthy, go to the gym? If somebody is not into all of that, then you're right. They're not the perfect person for you.
Right.
Or you know what I mean? So yeah, Lashik, what's your intake on it?
I mean, I see things from both sides. Excuse me. I see when you talk about how you interpret, sometimes it can sound like more of like a dictatorship. But on the other side, I feel like if someone up front knows where you stand or how you view things or how you run your show, and they agree to it, then it kind of changes things there. So it comes down to, are you with someone who's buying into that?
Right.
You know, it's important to get in line, to get with someone whose values line up with yours. As my husband said, he knew I was the one because my values and the things I wanted were in line with what he wanted. And I often hear about men talk about, you know, getting with a woman. It's about that woman getting with your program. You know,
program, right.
I do recognize the man being the leader. So even though understand or feel I was getting with his program. My views, my values, they just so happened lined up with his. So it made for a perfect match. So, you know, as they say, there's someone out there for everybody. I just think it's important for everybody to be upfront about who they are and what their expectations are, because that's another conversation too. People will lie about stuff, you know, just to get your buy-in.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
they'll lie.
1000%. That's what happened with me.
So let me ask you this, Aaron. I got
Mhm.
two questions. Brenton just asked me to ask you, what do you think about the king and queen system of marriage?
Meaning
His
what?
phone is messed up, Lashik.
Okay.
Let's see, meaning what? So while I'm waiting for his response, my question to you: when you're dating someone, like for women, we get like we get this feeling that something right, and what we call our little red flags or whatever. Men, what do you perceive as a red flag for you to know that, you know what, or did you all get a certain feeling, or are you listening to conversations? What is it about you all when you all are on the dating scene? And I know you're not on the dating scene, but when you was on the dating scene, what were some of the things that did you have like a inner intuition about if this person wasn't right for you, or how does a man go about doing that? Like, you know.
Well, like I said, I was talking to the ladies in my coaching group about regression, right? I'm very good at seeing people. I can see a person's trauma a mile away, but there are people who actually have family trauma, personal trauma, and they're very good at hiding it, and they put on a facade, and I don't see it because I'm human, you know? And next thing you know, they regress at some point. And that is the time where you're just like, okay, that's not a red flag. That is an actual problem. That means that person is not ready to be in a relationship with anybody. And that is the number one thing. See, you got red flags. The person is broke, or the person is a hoe, or something like that. But when you deal with regression, that means that person is just not ready to be in a relationship yet, or, you know, y'all got to take some time away from each other, whatever. So, I say you don't know somebody until something stupid happens. And the stupid thing happens is like somebody lose their job, car accident, mama dies, a problem in their family, somebody gets something, right? And then now you get an opportunity to see, okay, how do they deal with this, right? Do they regress, or do they handle it properly? I talk about levels of conflict. It's two ways that people can have conflict. You have the engager, and then you have the withdrawer. So does the person engage, you know, or do they withdraw? You know, so it's different things that you can learn from another person once something stupid happens. You don't know a person until something stupid happens. It could be anything, but then that's the opportunity for you to really understand. So it's one thing about red flags, you know, they ain't got no job, they broke, or something, they cuss too much, whatever. But the other thing is, because I'm always going to look at what is your trauma. I want to know what, and some people, they'll tell you what their trauma is, and they'll be like, oh, but it's no problem, until they regress. And once they regress, everything's go crazy.
What would cause a person to regress? Would it be something that would trigger them? Would it be, I mean,
Triggers.
Okay. Well, that was kind of a crazy question, but that was the only way you're going to know you're regressing, if unless something happens and you'd be like, oh, whoa.
And one thing with me, I'm intense. We have intense conversations. Like I told you, I want to talk about family, your mama, your daddy, your sister, your brother, your kids, baby daddy. I want to know everybody. You know, I want to talk to your mama. I want to know everything. Who are you? Because I want to know who made you, or who broke up with you. You know what I'm saying? I want to know something about who you are, because I don't know you.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because
So once I get an understanding of who you are, guess what? Like I said, what is embarrassing about your family system? I slowly get closer to your internal family system. You know, you get to the core of something, and I start getting closer and closer and closer. Next thing you know, boop, I get to the core, and then you spaz out, and then everything's, and I'm like, oh, Now I understand. But the thing about it is, with my level of intensity, it saves me time. Because I'd rather you regress early versus regress after I don't married you, put a baby in you, or all this other stuff. You know what I'm saying? Now I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do, because at the end of the day, sometimes it's just about recalibration. Sometimes it's I'm out of here, but at the end of the day, if you lie and say you're healed and you don't have no issues, and then something happens way down the line, now I'm messed up with you. Because our lives done kind of like got intertwined. My kids, I know your mama. Now I'm sitting around looking crazy. So I need to know what you got going on. So as a man, it's my job to get deep into the core of your family system.
Okay. All right. So he elaborated. He says a king, a high value man, can take a low value woman and change her into a queen respectfully and a high value woman, but it can't happen vice versa. Vice versa. So what are your thoughts on
Well,
that?
I don't care about all that value mess. It's as a man and a woman. And if she's with my program, like I said, family system wise, life wise, habit wise, way of living wise, kids, let's go. I don't care about all that. I don't know. I don't really understand what you're saying, but I don't care about all that stuff.
I have a question. When you talked about the trauma, do you believe that everybody has some type that they're dealing with? And when you're looking at or gauging things, are you pretty much looking at how they handle trauma?
Yes, it's the handling. Okay. But that's the actual regression. See, regression is the actual thing. It's not the trauma, it's the regression. Do you regress
into everybody to eventually do? It's just you're trying to see how they're going to handle when they, I guess, will you say regress? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. See, regression is we hold what happened to us not only in our minds, is in our bodies, and you just act up. It literally is a thing that where you just, it's like dropping a Mentos into a Pepsi. Once it gets inside, it's, you know what I'm saying? So once something goes on, person gets triggered or whatever, now you're able to see how they handle it, because life is not about what happens to you. Life is about how you handle what happens to you. Do you regress? Do you withdraw? Or do you stay and engage and try to figure it out? So that's the thing.
Wow. Okay. It makes sense. Because everyone has something that they went through, but not everybody has dealt with it or want to deal with it or know how to move past it. I think as Sir Speaks talked about, people find it easier to just kind of sit in it and not go get help, because you have that excuse of, well, this, you can kind of stay in that victimist mindset, which I've, noticed about people. And I correlate that with accountability. You got a lot of people who have a problem with accountability, and they'll rather sit in the victimist, mindset, or I like to use the saying that Anton came up with. He calls it the victim Olympics, because I see you got some people who are rather just sit in that versus moving past that. And
that person is trash. That person is trash. Like, it's important for you to immediately go straight to therapy. Once you regress, once you have an issue, if you immediately go to therapy, you can still be wife and husband material. Because when something goes wrong with your life, you immediately go take care of it. You don't sit around and whine about it. You don't feel sorry for yourself. You don't justify your actions. You just go take care of it. That is an actual good person.
Right.
Because it's not about what happens to you, it's how you handle it. If you start acting it up, okay, cool, I understand. But now what? I gotta go straight to therapy.
What's your thought about people within our community? That's just not, they're just so anti-therapy. I got Jesus, they don't want to go. What's your thoughts on that? Or do you believe that's the case with people in our community? They don't want to go and get therapy?
Well, a lot of people in our community are stupid, because there's there's the internet. You can Google whatever, you know. So these people are making choices not to fix their stuff, and that's problematic. And the reason why I say stupid is because we can't make excuses. Back in 1970, yeah, but everybody got a phone. You look up therapists in my area is betterhelp.com. That's a place where you can just do therapy, on the phone. You know, you can do one. I'm in the therapy. You know what I'm saying? Just hit up BetterHelp, schedule a therapy session. You can schedule as many therapy sessions you want to, certain amount of money, boom. You sit there just like we're doing here. You just talk to your therapist. So anybody who refuses to get therapy, they're stupid and they need to, I don't know. But if they refuse to get,
they're not stupid. And let's just go back to what Lashik said. You know, in our culture, you know, we need to normalize getting help.
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm saying.
a lot of times it's not normalized. A lot of times people do exactly what Lashik just mentioned. They want to go to church and say, you know, I got God, I got Jesus.
But wouldn't that be considered stupid?
No, and when you're
because they know better.
No, and when you're raised in that type of environment, if that's all you know, then that's what you're going to depend on.
So you don't seek out new information. You just go with all you know, and knowing it's not working for you. Because at some point, we all have failed relationships. How many relationships are you going to go through and just keep doing the same stupid shit? Because that's what I'm saying. That's when it's stupid. You know, you do one thing one time, but when you keep doing the same thing over and over again, that's stupidity or insanity. You can say you can look at either way you want to do. You know, if you do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, that's stupidity or insanity. You pick which one. I call it stupid. Other people say it's insane.
I think that, as I said earlier, we all there's a tribe for everybody's vibe. You know, in your vibe, you have your tribe. For my vibe, I have my tribe in Lashik. You know, I guess again, it's all about the delivery. The things that you say, how you say it, you never know who it's going to affect. Whether they're able to get in a group, your group, my group, or anybody's group, it is the delivery and how you say things. And I think we have to be mindful of the people that are watching and that could potentially watch any of us. And I personally wouldn't want to say or do anything that would, you know, cause a person to
go to therapy,
go left, or the impact that I would like to have on people once they've come in contact with me is to say, listen, she left a positive impact on me. Because here's the thing, when people have mental issues, a lot of things going on, you don't never know the state of mind they're in when they hear you. And you want them, and just like you all said, and I have no problem with being corrected and saying, like, again, how you say things. When you, like you told me the other day, like, you come in ready for war, like, and Lashik was like, well, nobody try to hear you, like, they just shut off. It's how you say things for people to be able to receive what you're saying. I got a text a little bit ago and they was like, yo, you need to calm down. And I'm thinking, well, I thought I was calm, but again, I want to leave an impact with people when they come across me or whatever I say, whether they connect in my group or your group or whatever, that it's a positive impact. Because like I said early in the show, you could have a single mother, 19, 16 years old, to hear your child, you're not successful, and that may stick in her mind. Some people ain't strong enough to go past that. Some people ain't strong enough to say, you know what, let me see what else he's talking about. Some people may not be strong enough or even have the finances to get in your group. What about that person? Some people may not be strong enough.
Well, at the end of the day, it's important for I think our community babies people. We have baby showers for women who have random babies with random dudes, and I think that's the actual biggest problem with our community. We sit around and baby people for doing stupid shit, and then they have the second, third baby, still have a second, third baby shower. It's idiotic. So
and I agree with you on that. I agree. And the thing about that, and let me tell you this on that note, in our community, you look now, baby showers is like weddings almost, right?
Right.
So you're taking all this money, putting into this baby shower, feeding these people. What about investing that money?
And
Are you
or therapy
or therapy, right? You know, again, we
or a
got it
chastity
backwards.
belt.
Right, we have it backwards. We have it backwards.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I'll be the first to
But
admit.
why do we have it backwards? Because we run around kissing people's ass too much. We want to pander to people. Well, forget all that. It hasn't been working.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't been working.
I agree with that 100%. I myself have a problem with that, you know, and it's like it's not going to get any better. You know, what do you do with it in a multitude? You're just one person trying to come in and navigate through, and everybody, what you're saying, people either you think you better or da 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 da. No, I just want to say it's a better way, you know. It's so hard. This is, and what's hard they don't want to do, but what's easy, it seems like, yeah, I'm gonna go with what's easy, you know. And it's like Lashik and I had said earlier, and not only is it work in change, but it's work in marriage. You know, it's work. It's nothing that, you know, it's easy. It's easy to say, but you know, it's work involved in anything. You know, even with working on this state, it's work involved. You're not going to be successful if you don't put in the work, right?
Right.
So
and you don't think it will help people if we made life harder for them? Because if life was harder for women, they would stop having fatherless babies, because they'd be like, life is hard enough by myself. But we make life too easy for them. So they run around having fatherless babies.
Elaborate to me when you're saying, for me, please, when you say make life harder. Make life harder how?
Stop. Give them all this. Oh, you had a baby. Congratulations. And you don't even know who the daddy is. This happens in almost every family. Every black family is the same old stupid mess. You know, like a woman has a random baby by a dude. You don't even ask who the baby was. You ask for the sex of the baby before you ask who the daddy was. Black women don't even ask who the daddy was because they scared to ask who. See, it's a culture of people pleasing. Your mom treated you like crap. And because your mom treated you like crap, you don't think you have a voice. So now with your friends, you don't want them to treat you like crap because you think that's your reality. Somebody's going to treat me like crap because that's how I grew up. So you are walking around on eggshells because you don't want another person to treat you like crap. You're so afraid of somebody abandoning you or treating you like crap, where you just walk around not wanting to say something wrong. And then somebody, your friend do something stupid, coworker do something stupid. You like, I know that's stupid, but I don't want to lose them as a friend. I don't want to rock the boat. We're afraid of each other, and it's disgusting. Black women are extremely afraid of other black women.
Is that being afraid or low self-esteem?
It's fear. I think black men and black women fear black women. Just imagine now. How many times you heard, oh, you're going to get canceled. Oh, you're going to get backlash. What the hell is backlash? I don't give a damn about no backlash. You know what I'm saying? And that's the problem. Black people are afraid of black women. They always worry, oh, the women are going to get you. Get me how? Were they Jason or somebody? Black people are afraid of black women. So when it comes to little Keisha done had her third baby on her fourth baby daddy, ain't nobody gonna say nothing because they scared of her. Because if somebody says something to her mom or her cousin, because they trash just like little Keisha is. They as dumb as she is. So guess what? If you say something about Keisha, it's like saying something about Rhonda. And then Rhonda gonna come in, and then Stephanie gonna come in, and now they're gonna gang up on you, and now they don't kick you out of the family.
But I think too, when if you come at somebody like Lashik and I was saying, the delivery, you could we could say the same things in two different ways, and well, let's say all three of us can say some things in the same thing, three different ways. They're probably more receptive to Lashik, maybe me next, and then you third.
Because at the end of the day, if they was receptive to the simple panderous way women talk to each other, we wouldn't be in this situation. So
your thoughts, Lashik, what do you think?
I mean, I'm still a person, as we talk with you, you know, we talk a lot about delivery. So I don't see why the same conversation can be that I can have with you, why I wouldn't be able to have with Mr. Letgo in regards to delivery on things. Like, that's a thing, you know, no matter who you're talking to. Mm-hmm. It just comes down to how are you trying to reach people? Do you care about reaching that person? Like Ms. V, when we talk, you're like, okay, I really want to get through to that person, so let me tweak it. Mr. Lego, when he talks, he's like, well, I'm not necessarily maybe trying to get through that person. I'm just saying it, and whoever it reaches, it reaches.
Right.
So, it comes back to what kind of impact that we want to have as a result of what we're putting out there. And you guys fare on different sides on what type of kind of impact as far as you're trying to have, because you're trying to reach the people. You don't want to run them away. As I said, Mr. Lego talks about, he's the advanced class. So if you're not ready for what he got, he's like, okay, this not for you.
Yeah, go back to the remedial class. So Lashik, let me ask you this. Wouldn't that constitute as people pleasing?
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're definitely not a people pleaser.
No.
Yes.
The other way.
Yes. I mean,
I want to reach everybody. I want to make sure everybody likes me. I don't want to piss nobody off. Isn't that people pleasing?
Yes. I think we live in a society that
of people pleasers.
Yes, that to where we're more so raised. There's fewer people that may be like you, which is why I think maybe a lot of people maybe gravitate, or even when Kevin Samuels was around, it's almost like you'll gravitate to those people who are saying things that you don't have it in you to say. So you go and sit and listen for them to say it, because for the most part, most of us, man, we're people pleasers. We got this society, this hashtag Me Too, cancel society. Everybody is just on pins and needles about what they can say, how somebody feel. And then
my Instagram page was deleted. So it happened to me, but guess what? I don't give a shit.
I'm saying we're saying the same thing. It's just a delivery.
The delivery is not going to change, because the reason why delivery is not going to change is because the other delivery isn't working. This people pleasing, panderous stuff, it just ain't working. So
what I'm saying is, okay, so we can say the same thing, but because I choose not to be harsh, I'm a people pleaser. Is that what you were saying?
What people pleasing actually is. That's the definition of people pleasing. When you want to make sure you don't rock the boat, upset nobody, that's the definition of people pleasing. But it's not just you, it's black women. Black women are afraid of the other black women, so they people please. And it starts from most black women are afraid of their own mothers. So you project your fear of your own mother, and you see another woman as your mother. So you see them as, essentially your mother in a way. So you people please other women.
I don't.
Comes from childhood trauma.
I just that's a new one on me.
Because the thing about it is, like, well, man, you gotta understand what my past is. I'm the one who told my mom to sit her ass down at the age of 13. I seen that my mom was just doing all kinds of stupid shit, and I started beating up her boyfriends, kicking, I didn't beat them up myself. I had my homeboys. So we started beating up her boyfriends. I just came in and told my mom, all right, mom, this is what we're gonna do. It's over. I'm sick of you having these loser ass men in the house. It's a wrap. Okay. It's my house. You're going to sit down. I'm going to pay you a little $35 a month rent. I'm going to take care of you. Like, sit down.
How did she receive that?
She slapped me, but then sat down. She sat down. How dare you? I'm like, oh, okay. So that ain't changed nothing. Because I'll go move out. Because the young girls at the age of 16, 17, they was getting Section 8. So I go live with one of these little hood rats and move the hell out. And guess what? Your ass got to go get a job if I move out. Because the only reason why you get to sit around on your ass is because you got me. I go live with one of these hood rats and live across the street in the projects. So you either gonna get down or you're gonna lay down. Period. I get the hell up out of here and get me some in-house coochie every morning and go live with one of these little hood rats. Or I'll stay here and make sure you're good. It's up to you. I just move out because them little hood rats, little 17, 18-year-old hood rats, I was 13, 14. You don't think I can't get me no 17-year-old? Shit. With my mindset, I'm surrounded by all these dumbass dudes, but I got this mindset of sit your ass down. Man, please. So if she would have said, no, this is my house, I was like, okay, I would have got with little Keisha or whoever, and I would have moved in with her. And my mom would have had to go get a job because her rent would have went up to $350. So she made, I made an executive decision, and she made a business decision. If I want to keep sitting on my ass, paying $35 a month, I need to sit my ass down and let my son take over the house as the type of man that I actually raised to be. She raised me to be a protector. And I told her, I said, Ma, you raised me to protect you, so I'm protect you. So sit down.
So that goes back to say, when you said, I think in one of your videos that single mothers couldn't raise a boys.
No, they can't raise nobody.
Or something like that. You said, or something along those lines.
Well, you gotta understand my philosophy is women are children. So you're the sibling of your child, whether the child is a male or female. A single mother isn't capable of raising anybody.
Is
Not
there
by herself.
exceptions? Is there exceptions to that? Or you just say, no, that's just any single mom?
Women just aren't equipped to, women are equipped to nurturing a child. But when it comes to teaching a child, training a child, putting a child in a position to leave her, it almost goes against her nature.
Did you say leave?
Leave.
Yeah, leave. A parent's job is to teach you how to leave me.
Right.
Oh, leave. Oh, okay.
Leave. Go away.
Like
find your own family.
When you're raising your child, we're preparing them for the world.
Right. But single mothers aren't capable of doing that because, one, they don't understand the world. They don't understand men. They don't understand nothing. I'm just being real.
Not all.
So the only thing they can do is they're going to train their child to not leave, because if she has problems getting married getting a man at 28, 38, she's going to have a problem getting a man at 48. So
I've actually seen that. I've seen that. I've
seen what?
That. Where a single mother, didn't want her children to do better than she did. And she really, it kind of went backwards. Like when y'all get in high school, I'm coming living with one of y'all. Y'all live with me for 8 years.
Yeah.
But I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
But I've also seen on the other side of the spectrum too. So, I'm always saying not all single mothers fall in that category. Amen. Amen. I feel the Lord tugging at my spirit for the gentleman with that gold chain. I feel that he's tugging at my spirit. I need to speak to you. I got a word for you, son, from the Lord. I got a word. Yes.
Look how sweet she is, Mr. Let Go. She's evolved.
I see.
Let me ask you guys something.
This is the new Miss. Listen, the other guy thought you was popping off. He don't know this is the new and improved Miss V. You was fine. To us, we were like, she calm.
No, I honestly, I am working on it. I am definitely working on it and keeping my emotions in and trying to portray what I'm saying, but not reflecting it through my emotions. And there's ways to do it. I say I triggered Mr. Let Go earlier tonight. Listen, Eric, I don't remember how tall you are. How tall are you?
5'10".
5'10". I was going to say somewhere right in there. I got a picture. I got to find our pictures. I got a picture.
Really?
Yeah. You didn't see this side of me in presentation.
You were quiet back then.
Yes, I was just like.
How many years ago was that? Like 5?
No.
5 years ago?
No,
3 years ago?
5 years.
Really?
Yeah.
What year then? I don't know.
My father's been passed away now for 4 years. Probably about 6 to 7, something like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it is the end of this year. So yeah, you're right. Yeah. That makes sense.
I drove all the way to Atlanta. Where did we meet? We met up somewhere and then we went out to dinner. And it was a really good group. It was a good group of people, but no, I was not like this. He was.
I was like this back then.
But I didn't see like this. He was like, I'm Mr. Angry Coach. Like, what?
Well, I wasn't a coach back then. I didn't know what I was doing back then, but I was learning.
Everybody was trying to.
I want you to think about this, Veronica. Wasn't our coach like me?
Oh yeah, he was. He was.
See, while y'all was learning how to get the information, I was learning how to coach.
Mm-hmm.
See, y'all was learning how to what he was saying. I was looking at his mannerisms.
Uh-huh.
So
Oh yeah.
you knew you wanted to one day be a coach at that
Oh
time.
yeah,
You were part. You already knew.
1,000%. Yeah,
Okay.
I literally. Well, I got this from my dad, but I looked at Kendall, the coach, as a dad figure.
Uh-huh.
So I literally just watched how he controlled the room. Short dude.
Yeah.
Control the room and everything. And I was like, okay. So I'm learning I was learning his mannerisms and how he talked and communicate. And that's how I talk and communicate now. So I don't know why Veronica be talking mess about me all the time. Our coach was worse than me.
I never got that from him. I never got that from him. Actually, I think I had some words with him, you know.
You got into it with him?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I'm the thing about like when we all decide.
Not all coaches.
So listen, he was like, you do something, we'll come out, we'll support. We was all about supporting, networking within the group.
Mm-hmm.
I had an empowerment Monday, and I had got everything set up, had the flyers and everything. And he said he was coming. Then he told me he was in Maryland, which Maryland is like maybe a 3-hour drive from here. And he literally lied. Like I had everything set up. We had advertised and everything. And he told the biggest lie. I'm on my way. And then he's like, man, I can't, the flight or something. He just made a lie. And I called him out on it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I was just like, you don't work with no integrity. Like, he named, we want to do this. We're going to meet here. Da, 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 da. Right. But
so instead of saying no.
Thank you. I can respect that.
So that's an example of people pleasing. Do you see how people pleasing gets people in trouble then? Even he people please with you. He didn't have enough balls to say no. Because you know me, I'm like, I'm not doing all that. No.
Right. And I could respect that, you know what I mean? But and I have no respect for it after that. No. Mm-mm.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It is what it is, though.
It is what it is. It was a learning experience. But so now it's more or less like, I'm on this side of it. And we have our hey Aaron.
I tell you, it's a family, y'all.
You still didn't say whether you wanted some coffee or tea this morning.
Well, tell everybody about the group, because probably everybody like, wait, what the hell are they talking about? Like,
okay, so
go ahead, Miss B. Tell them about the group.
All right, so I'm in Aaron's coaching group, and it's about how you can build on social media. And within the group, we have access to him all day. We literally go back and forth all day. And I think it's like a good little family thing that we got going on. We can all agree to disagree. Right now, I think I'm like on the edge because I'm just like, I be just really going off in the group. But overall, it's like it's a good learn. I've learned a lot since I've been here as far as like the social media, how to navigate through this thing we call the internet. And I've gained followers. I like being in the group. We do butt heads, but that's what you do. You learn, and that's what we do. And listen, he told me this morning. I got on his nerve again this morning. He was like, "Listen, I'm not going to do all this with you today, Veronica. Go live, talk about it, make some money. I'm not doing this with you." So I think I'm the problem child in the group.
No, but y'all went live.
Yeah, he did say that. I like the group because it's motivational. Mr. Let Go every day just drops stuff in there to motivate us to do better. We speak about content. He critiques. Just help us to grow. And sometimes you need that, that extra push. And you don't know what you don't know. That's the thing, which is why I joined, because I was already a content creator, but I didn't know what I didn't know, but I knew there was some missing pieces. So, and I remember saying, God, I wish I had someone else in this with me, because there's no one else in my world that does this. So then, this came about. I seen, Aaron, Mr. Lego's videos, and I'm like, okay, well, let me join there. So it's like the best thing ever. I always equate it to like a family, because the way we go at it, it's just that, but it's a beautiful thing. And I just can't imagine us ever, losing touch with one another.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And I'm always appreciative when, the family collaborate together. He encourages us to collaborate together. You've probably seen us on Mr. Let Go's platform multiple times. So whenever we're available, he's like always welcome. So just know if you see him by himself, he extended an invite for us to come, So I'm always appreciative when Miss Veronica comes over and Mr. Let Go comes over. Because as I say, he's like the Steve Harvey of YouTube. He's always working. And anytime he does show up, he just left from working. And then when he leaves, he about to go do another job. So it's just the way it is. But I have a lot of respect for him and his work ethic. And it only makes me want to kind of grow as a content creator and just remember these humble beginnings of starting out and, these tough lessons that I'm learning, because I'm learning them too. And each one teach one. So I'm just appreciative of any help that anybody can assist me with. I'm just grateful. So I do thank you guys. Thank you both for showing up and showing out with me.
Think about your coachees.
No, I appreciate y'all, because the thing about it is, just like you'll drop a thumbnail in the chat, I'll be like, what in the world is this? Yeah. But I'll be like, all right, let me, and then I fix it, and then I send it, put a thumbnail for you,
Yeah.
So I just love just being helpful, So and with Veronica, with the good mornings and all that stuff, it just livens me up, you know what I'm saying? Because sometimes you don't know what you want to say on YouTube, because you don't really, next thing you know, me and Veronica get the fussing or whatever. Now you're like, ooh, that's a good subject. I'm gonna go live about that. So like, just the more lively the chat is, which is always like that, we're always like learning from what somebody else did and what somebody else said. And then next thing you know, everybody is more livelier. It's infectious.
Yeah. And content ideas is created because, like you said, a lot of times ideas come about from, I would say, probably with tonight's topic coming from you and Veronica going back and forth about some things. And I'm like, well, we can talk about it because she's passionate about single motherhood. I'm not, because I don't live that life, but I'm a product of it. So I can kind of speak more so from that aspect versus living it as an adult. I don't know what that life is like at all. I personally worked hard to not, because to me, it looked hard. It just looked very hard to me. And I'm all about, listen, I like to work smarter, not harder. That's your girl. Like, that's any and everything.
Yeah.
That's pretty much why I made a lot of decisions I did, just strictly off of, like you said, I ain't gonna do that. Like you said, Mr. Let Go, I ain't gonna do that. I had that energy as a young teenage girl.
Yeah.
I will say this. One of the things that I was excited about when I first started the group is when Aaron was like, you all need to collab, because I had reached out to other people to try to collab. But if you don't have like a huge platform and you're learning, nobody really wants to collab with you. And again, and I'm not, disrespecting nobody if they charge you, that's what they do, but sometimes when you're just getting in the game, just can you just throw a sister a bone or something?
Yeah.
And when you said, listen, you got people in the group, collab, and that I was really happy about that, so you have the potential to collab with people that are in the group.
Yep.
Beautiful thing. We live and we learn, and we're learning. Tomorrow we'll continue to learn as we hear Miss V and Mr. Let Go at it, because he stay in a doghouse with her, y'all. Y'all see him going off on the end. Miss V's behind the scenes looking out for y'all. Please know that.
I'll be like, advocator.
Sometimes she be like, okay, Lashik, I think I might get kicked out the group, but you got my phone number. I said, girl, you get that man life. You ain't going nowhere. She really say that. I think I did it this time.
Oh my God.
Because I'm like, he's gonna kick me out of the group this time.
I said, he just gonna laugh at you. Mr. Lego is so unbothered. You got that. I don't give a damn. Like, I don't know. You're so unbothered. So between both of you guys, it's like y'all battle for who's the one that's gonna do the most, who's so unbothered. So I be like, you ain't going nowhere because you get that man life.
But I do look forward to the day for everybody in the group at some point to do a meet and greet. I'm serious about that. I look forward to that day, so we can really say, I can really see what AK look like.
Okay, we gonna see this.
Yeah, I just appreciate y'all for like giving me the opportunity to help y'all, and it's turned into a family and it's fun. But the thing about it is, a lot of people have like YouTube courses, right? But since we have an actual group where it's ongoing, so even if you get like 100,000 subscribers, guess what? It's still some things that you still have to learn, and we still collaborating and growing, so we can keep growing and sharing information as we all grow. And then we can like learn from each other as we grow versus just getting a YouTube course where it's like, all right, do this and do that, do that. How many questions are you going to have on a daily basis? Exactly. You can't ask the course because the course ain't going to talk back to you.
And I did that. I tried, and I'm like, I have questions, and the person's not there. You just have this, whatever you got to read through. Right. And so I do like with yours, it's kind of like ongoing. It's just real time forever, however long you need it. So I don't see anyone else having anything out there like that.
Right. Like, I checked out another course, and it was just like after 3 months, it's done. Like this, once you're in, you're in. Like, and I was like surprised about it. I'm like, what?
I didn't even have no 3 month with mine. It's like I bought something and it was like, okay, good luck. Like, ain't no phone number to call, ain't no chat.
Because the thing with like Veronica asked me a question. We just got on the phone 10 o'clock at night. So, and I think that's the significance of my coaching group. You get literally everything you need whenever you need it,
Yeah. And it's a lot. I say you drop a lot of information.
It's
just coming down to applying it. Like I could never say he ain't tell me how to do this. It's literally like on me with applying whatever I learned, because it's like so much to where it makes sense how you do so well, because it's so much. Like it's a lot that you do. And things that I don't think anybody else out there really know, because I don't see them doing it. And you're growing leaps and bounds like over them. But I see, because we're behind the scene, we see the system. And
but do I make it simple?
What was that?
Do I make it simple?
Yeah, you do. You make it simple. It's just doing it. It's just.
And this is another thing that I like. It's not no gold level, platinum level, silver level.
Ain't no pyramid scheme going on.
Right, because sometimes you get in a group, like if you want to know more, then you got to pay. I was telling you about. So, but I mean, just when he figures something else out, he just dropping it. Hey guys.
I'm like, we got to go back to work again. There's something else I need to add to the list that I need to get around to doing.
I really appreciate y'all, because it wouldn't be anything without y'all.
But thank you.
Yeah, we look forward to our Tuesday. We meet on Tuesdays now, y'all, 8:00. So it's like we get on there and have the Zoom, and he's like, "What you need? What you need?" So it's just it's just putting in the work. So that's what me and Miss B over here, we try to come each week to kind of put in the work and try to implement those things that he's taught us how to do. He'll tell you all the way down to the apps that you need. And before we sign off, looks like Brenton, he finally got his stuff together. So let's let him come up real fast.
Okay.
Hey,
Brenton. Hey, how's everybody doing?
Good. How are you?
Very good. You got anything to add before we get out of here? We're sorry we didn't get you up earlier.
Yeah, no, it's just problems with my phone. I finally got it fixed, but it's okay. To answer your question, yes, I'm doing pretty good. I'm so excited about next week. I'll be turning 28.
Happy
birthday. Me too. My birthday. When's your birthday?
October 26th.
Okay, I'm the 25th. So Miss V, remember to holler out to us
Tuesday and
Wednesday.
The 25th.
On the 25th. Yeah, he's friends to 26. So you got anything for Mr. Let Go while he's up here? Because you know he be working hard. So I don't know when you're going to get him again.
And I can't hear him. I don't know why, but just tell me.
Oh, can you hear me now? Or
somehow he fell off. I don't even see him on the platform anymore. He might try to come back in.
Yeah.
He might try to come back in. But you have a question for Mr. Let Go, Brenton?
no, I was trying to chime in from the beginning, but I didn't know I was allowed to. But there's a lot that goes on with single mothers, especially in our community, that I wish I could have gotten to earlier, because I know everybody's probably about to go to sleep in a little bit. So, but
speak your piece, babe.
Yeah, what do you have to say?
Trying to think what all of that he went over. Oh, okay, so you probably didn't read this in the messages that I sent you earlier. When he's saying the word stupid, he's not trying to be mean in any way, shape, or form. He's just being blunt about what he's saying. He's not trying to hold back any bars. He couldn't fully say all of what he wanted to say from what I saw, because for the benefit of the podcast, he doesn't want to turn away all your viewers. You know, some, yes, not all. Trying to think, go back to everything else you guys have said so far. Goodness, there's some stuff.
You was like, let me see. The whole conversation is deeper than what he is saying right now. He is concealing the butt naked truth for the benefit of the podcast. I think you just said that. And then you said ask him about the king and the queen system of marriage.
Okay, so traditionally, this is the way I grew up, from watching my grandfather, watching my father, and watching my older brother. Men did the most physical the physical labor that comes with marriage. The men took care of. So cutting grass, whatever needed to be fixed around the house had to be fixed by a man. Women more along the way took along, doing laundry, cooking, cleaning. And if it had to be reversed from time to time, it was. But for the most part, a man was going to be doing the physical labors of the household. I see that being different now, to where a woman doesn't mind cutting the grass. Women can fix stuff up on their own. And getting back to another part where a lot of women do say, "Oh, I don't need a man. I'm fine on my own." That whole independent mindset. We both need each other. Nothing makes me feel more like a man than being around a woman. So there's that, at least on my account. But
So your take on being a single mother, and I hear what you're saying about him saying he wasn't saying that women are stupid, because that's the thing that gets me. Like, women are not stupid, but you're saying he wasn't saying that in that aspect of it, And he was also saying that, women, and he was like, you're saying about the men, is the woman's responsibility as far as pregnancy is concerned. And I'm saying it's accountability on both parts, because a woman can't get pregnant by herself.
Yes, ma'am. It does take two to tango. Don't get me wrong in that aspect. But here is what he was saying, to be honest. I don't want to be too blunt as well, but
no, go ahead, be blunt.
You sure?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. When it comes to the acts of sex, most of us as men do not care about our own bodies. I know that's toxic. I know that's a part of masculinity that we need to get away from, but it's just the truth of the matter of what it is. I'm trying to say, I can say this without being too nasty.
Ejaculate?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. When we ejaculate, right, it's just that we don't think of it as being, oh, that could have been a future lawyer, that could have been a doctor, that was my seed. If we do that through masturbation, you ladies can't do that. You're born with whatever eggs that you're going to have for the rest of your days.
Right.
We can have children up to 65?
60 something. Yeah. Maybe 70, I think.
Wow.
I'll find out.
Yeah, something like that. But we don't care about the aspect in that. So that's one of the reasons why a man can get a woman pregnant and not care, because the same way we masturbate and it just flies out, that's what we think. Most of us think of it as that. Now, if we love that woman, of course we're going to try to stay, you know, even if the marriage or the relationship doesn't work out, we have to raise that child because that's our son, that's our daughter. But there are a lot of guys out there that, just like as I said, you know, it flies out like that and they don't love that woman right out the door. They don't care about it.
But here's the thing, that it's still their son or their daughter. It's still
Oh,
their
yes.
son or their daughter, you know, and I can't give you all a pass on, because that's what you do. You deposit, we receive. It's still and you may not care about your body. I mean, not you, but I'm just saying men may not care about your body. Oftentimes, a lot of men don't. They just want to get that feel and keep it moving. Don't tell me this, mine, because you should have been protecting yourself. No, everybody is accountable. And the woman, I feel like the woman should, both parties should, you know, love their body enough to say, you know what, you ain't doing all that in me. Like, you covered it up.
Right.
We should. Don't get me wrong. And I'm not taking away from what you're saying. We should be. Everyone should be held accountable for their own faults, their own mistakes, their own actions, and everything either comes with a consequence or it comes with a reward. But I'm not trying to be mean, and I've had conversations with this about this with my mother, my grandmother, my sister-in-law, my cousins. When it comes down to dating, when it comes down to relationships, women are honestly the gatekeepers of sex. If you guys don't agree,
I agree. I'll agree. I agree.
If you guys don't want to, it's not going down.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
Us as men are the gatekeepers of relationships. Until I ask you, you know, would you like to be my girlfriend, or will you marry me and everything, until, you know, we both say I do, I'm the gatekeeper of that. Well, what's wrong?
I had a light bulb moment. We are the gatekeepers of the gold. You all are the gatekeepers of the children.
True,
Mr. Lego missed that one, huh?
Right, because if you all don't leave it, we can't take it.
Right.
So you all ain't guarding y'all's kids.
Yeah, y'all ain't guarding.
You did. I think you agreed with him when he said it starts here.
Yes, ma'am. It is mental.
Explain that to me. Even if you don't even like think about getting pregnant, like this is not, you know, I'm not even thinking about getting pregnant, and we're just gonna have a little fun. How can it start here if I'm not even thinking about?
So here's the thing. So really, it's all about what's been, like as he said earlier, it's all about what's been instilled in you mentally from your elders. I had, of course, as I said before, most of my family tell me to try to stay on the straight and narrow and have a little fun, but don't go crazy with what you're doing. And I had that when my older brother was in the Air Force. He would call back and tell me everything. But here's a saying that I say all the time, especially to my younger female counterparts. Don't let being young, dumb, and full of cum lead you to being old, cold, with no one to hold.
I like that. Oh, you know what I say? Don't let your dick make a slave out of you.
Yeah, I've heard that from my mother.
Don't do that, you know. But yeah, it seems like you was kind of like the calm to the storm over here, and you was trying to lay I want to say text on what Mr. Let Go was saying, and how he was trying to convey what he was saying, because you did say this is alpha male energy at its best, logic over emotion. Explain that one.
Yes, ma'am. So men for the most part are trying to outwit you in every which way that we can. With you ladies, for the most part, you ladies are reacting to how you feel, which is the emotional aspect of everything. From me being, now I hang around my father a whole lot more than I do my mother. But I saw a lot of emotional aspects from my mother, and I kind of took that on, when I was going through my middle school years and high school years. Now that I became a man, I spend more time with my father so I can get more of a logical approach to everyday things. When it comes to dating, relationships, one thing I have seen a lot of though is a man can come at you with 100 different ways of logic, like how he was saying earlier. No, how you were saying earlier. You might say something one way, she might say something one way. He's going to say it, his way, which was blunt force trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Because of my ways of thinking now, I want blunt force trauma. Tell me the whole unadulterated truth. Do not hold anything back, and do not worry about hurting my feelings because you can't hurt them anymore.
Uh-huh.
But when it comes to ladies, I hate to say it, we come at you ladies with maybe 100 different ways of emotion. You guys gonna come with us with the same first level of sorry. We can come at you ladies with 100 different ways of logic. You will come with us with that first level of emotion. I've noticed that a lot in our community.
We are emotional creatures.
Beings. I would say beings and creatures.
Okay, thank you for your. We are emotional beings. But you know what, Brenton?
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't agree, or well, again, I have my stance on single parents, not single mothers, not being successful without being married. I don't agree with that. I do feel like that circumstances can change in any situation. I feel like that sometimes when you are blunt like that, sometimes you can hurt people where they are, and that could be something that could be damaging to them. What if somebody's not as strong mentally, and then they hear that? You know what I mean? Yeah.
I had to build that myself. Don't get me wrong. Before, my father might say something that, to try to toughen me up that hurt my feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And after a while, you start growing accustomed to that, and you start building up that thicker skin to where it doesn't hurt you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You have to really look at what he's saying, not the way how he's really saying it. The only problem I do have is, somebody is yelling at you. I don't like being yelled at personally because I don't do it myself.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just a part of it. The same way with physical violence.
Mm-hmm.
I said this before. I'll say it right now. One of the best and worst gifts I ever received during my childhood was a beating.
Mm-hmm.
It made me tougher, even though it hurt, but it showed me that I couldn't get away with everything I wanted to get away with.
Wow. So, Lashik, what do you have to say about?
I think Brenton made a lot of good points. He definitely sounds like someone who's been raised around masculine energy, and unfortunately, a lot of our men, our young boys, aren't today, and they're just raised around just nothing but women, and it's having an effect on them. Meaning when I say an effect, where a lot of them are very overly sensitive, to be boys, like they're not taught to be, to be tough, to stand up, to be the leader, to lead the women, because they're not having anyone in their life to really show them that. And you don't know what you don't know. So if you don't have anyone around to show you what it looks like to be, a man, and to demonstrate the masculine energy. And unfortunately today, when we talk about masculine energy and wanting that, it's almost like it's shamed upon, and it's like a world of anti-masculine energy. It's like it's a problem to want to see men and boys be masculine, and it's almost like, well, because you're bringing up masculinity, then you're anti-femininity, and it's no, you can have both at one time. We're just saying we don't have to just have just feminine energy. There is a masculine energy as well, as I always say, a yin and a yang.
It's balance.
Yeah, it's a balance. We need balance. And I think we're seeing a lot of imbalance in our world today because of just the way things are in society. So we need to have balance. And it starts with having these types of conversations. I do thank you for coming up, Brenton. And even though it was kind of later in the show, you were in the chat. You'll definitely have to come back. I don't know if you're a subscriber of mine, so make sure you guys like, share, subscribe.
Absolutely.
So the next time, we go live, you won't be late to the party, and you can maybe early on, because me and Ms. V, we'll get an idea and we'll be like, listen, we need to plan a show and talk about that. And you want to make sure that you got your notification bell on, so you know when you go live. And Ms. V, I do thank you for going live to let your followers know that you were over here on this platform. I definitely appreciate that. I know your followers show you a lot of love. You're very inspirational. So I know the energy I receive from you is great. So I can only imagine, they feel the same way, because they definitely came through to show up for you. So I am definitely grateful for that. And I look forward to an opportunity to come back on your platform. Just let me know, you know how we do.
Absolutely.
And we get into some things, because one thing we can do, we can get into some stuff. We have great conversations. So
yes.
Brenton, it was definitely nice to have you to be a part of it on the panel up here. And that's all I have. You guys have anything you want to say before we end it? We've been up here almost 3.5 hours.
Oh, wow.
It was a great show.
Yeah, it's been a great show. King, thank you so much for your support as always. I do appreciate you. I do appreciate you commenting and taking part of this show. Listen, continue to follow us. I think I'm gonna have a show Sunday. I will let you all know on my Facebook page. And Lashik, follow her on YouTube as well as myself. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. And for those of you all who may be watching this video at a later time, you can find me on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram as Veronica Farish. On TikTok, Miss V294, where sometimes I'll be doing dances, and mostly now it's on Facebook where I'll be doing morning dances. Look like it be on Wednesdays, but I'll be getting down with the get down, and so yeah.
Well, I thank you, Miss V, and me. I'm Chic. For any of you it's your first time joining, I am Chic. My YouTube channel is Chic. Just Chic Speaks, but you can follow me on Instagram as Chic.speaks. And on Facebook, I just set up, my Facebook page for this particular channel. So definitely make sure you go over there and follow me at Chic Speaks. And yes, I'm a married woman of 18 years, so I talk all things love, relationships. If you desire to have, marriage, a long marriage, a healthy marriage, a happy marriage, a strong marriage, like I'm your girl. You got a lot of people out here talking about those things, and many of them don't even have it. So I'm your girl that actually has that actually going. I'm living proof that it is possible. And with anything worth having is worth working at, I like to say. And it's something that I value and I work at every day I wake up. It's ongoing. It never stops. You have to water it like a plant. Absolutely. So that's what I do for my marriage. And that's what I do for this channel, as well as my relationships with people like you. So I do, again, appreciate you all. And again, as you guys are heading out, please make sure you like, share, subscribe. My Cash App is $Speak50. And listen, until I'm excited for the next broadcast. Listen,
me too, girl. Me too.
Going on. And who knows what I'm going to have going on. So y'all, again, just make sure you got that notification bell on so you know when because sometimes I can be real random over here. So make sure you got the notification bell on so you won't miss out.
Absolutely.
Okay, until the next time.
Until the next time. Bye, Brenton.
Bye. Thank you guys for having me.
Bye-bye.